Gamma Construction Limited on the 28th February 2022. The work started 17 March 2022 with an initial expected completion of 14 September 2023. The scope of works comprises construction of a new bridge with two end spans of 12 meters and a middle span of 15 meters, roadworks, construction of footpath and drain, relocation of services. As at date, the RDA is working on the clearing of site and excavation for foundation works on one side has been completed. Delays have been encountered on the project due to larger and deeper foundations which were required owing to poor ground conditions, rerouting of major pipe of the Central Water Authority, and the bad weather condition in that region. With a view to proceeding with remaining works, full closure of Hollywood number 1 road is required, and a traffic diversion scheme is being worked out with the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit. Work are now expected to be completed December 2023.
Thank you, Speaker. As Honourable Minister must be aware that new link road from La Vigie to Bossange through La Marie will intersect with the existing Hollywood road to Bossange. My question to Honourable Minister would be whether that stretch from the bridge to the intersection would also be catered for by the RDA in the project.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I said in my reply earlier, that this road is a very busy one and is being used as a shortcut. Therefore, the RDA is now considering to link that newly built bridge to the motorway that will link La Vigie to Ficanflac. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Sir, my question to Honourable Minister with regards to announcement made in the budget speech with regards to cycle truck. Will cycle truck be also, provision for cycle truck would also be made in this new stretch? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. I wish to inform the House that La Vigie till Ficanflac, the whole stretch, provision has been made for cycle lane. Therefore, in the same logic, we are also providing for a cycle track from the Hollywood Bridge to the roundabout linking the new motorway to Ficanflac, and that stretch will have around 700 meters of cycle track. Thank you.
Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. B700, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the District Council of Flax that 43 drain projects have been carried out in constituency number 9 from 2014 to 2019 and 55 from 2020 to date. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm hereby tabling the list of drain projects for the 2 periods requested.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister please inform the House if any requests have been made by the District Council so that there is a waiving of LDA's approval on what we call the absorption drains?
I think it has been discussed at the level of ODA, and I think it's about great that we can do the absorption drain.
I think LDA's it's under the purview of the Ministry of National Infrastructure. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House if there is any negotiations in that sense? Because actually the approval time that is being taken by LDA, it's too long, and that's delaying some of the projects in the constituency number 9.
Actually, you know, there are a lot of drain works that are going around the country. I think that's why, because I think, to put it mildly, I think the LDA is swamped by so many projects themselves. I think that's what's happening, but they're looking after the project. There are some very big projects, some minor projects, but they are looking at all the projects.
Next question.
B700.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yes. With regard to radiotherapy services, I'm informed that presently teletherapy and brachytherapy services are being offered at Victoria Hospital. The radiotherapy department is equipped with one linear accelerator, 2 cobalt-60 units, one brachytherapy machine, and one 2D stimulator with core beam CT.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House whether the linear accelerator, which is far better than the cobalt machine, is in use at present?
Mr. Speaker, sir, this linear accelerator dates for more than 25 years. Every year, there is a lot of, when the apparatus do have some issues and there is breakdown of the apparatus. I believe at present the apparatus is not working.
Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he has been appraised by officers of his ministry or the physicians working there about the continuous use of the cobalt machine, what we so-called the teletherapy, in terms of its limitations for the cancers that we have in Mauritius?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, obviously. That is why the new cancer center is coming. I believe my colleague, Dr. Snow, knows very well about it, how the Prime Minister has been engaged personally in the new setup of the new cancer center. I'll just give you a brief. The new cancer center will be equipped with 2 new 3-dimensional linear accelerators, 1 high-dose rate brachytherapy, and at present the evaluation exercise for the linear accelerators with treatment planning has already been completed and tender documents been prepared. So this is a reason why there is a new cancer center. It's not only that the building, but also with the new techniques, new machines, especially for the treatment with radiotherapy.
Yes. Next question.
Can I have a supplementary?
Exceptionally.
Thank you. Can we have an indication when the new cancer center at Solferino will be operational?
By end of this year.
Next question.
B703.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I'm going to reply to this parliamentary question. Mr. Speaker, sir, the protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to free movement of persons, right of residence and right of establishment was adopted by the 13th Ordinary Session in the African Union Assembly held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on 29th January 2018. As at date, 32 countries have signed the protocol and only 4 countries have ratified it. The Republic of Mauritius has neither signed nor ratified the African Union protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to free movement of persons, right of residence, and right of establishment. However, it has gradually adopted some of the provisions of the protocols. The country is at an advanced stage in the relaxation of visas, easing of movement of labor, professionals, and trade-in services for the African region and beyond. The Republic of Mauritius already has a liberal visa regime towards the majority of the AU member states who are exempted from visa requirement to enter Mauritius for short stay visit purposes. However, citizens of the following 6 African Union member states, namely Libya, Mali, Sahrawi Republic, Somalia, Sudan, and South Sudan, are required to apply and obtain a visa prior to travel to Mauritius, as stipulated in the 11th schedule of the passport regulations. On the other hand, Mauritius has neither signed nor ratified the COMESA Protocol on Free Movement of Persons, Labour Services, the Right to Establishment and Residence, and nor the Protocol on Facilitation of the Movement of Persons in SADC region. It, however, implements an open visa policy and has exempted all COMESA and SADC member states from visa requirements for short stay visit purposes, that is, a tourist visa up to 180 days in a calendar year, and second, business visa up to 120 days, provided that the period of stay during each trip does not exceed 90 days. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed that the Republic of Mauritius does not intend to sign or ratify the African Union Protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to free movement of persons, right of residence, and right of establishment at this stage.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House how many EU countries which have signed and ratified the protocol?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I said in my reply that there are 32 countries that have signed the protocol, and 4 of them have, to date, ratified the protocol. And they are namely Mali, the 4 that have ratified the protocol, Mali, Rwanda, Niger, sorry, it's Mali, Niger, Rwanda, and Sao Tome and Principe.
Next question.
B704.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Central Water Authority that its customers are categorized in 3 categories, namely 1, domestic consumer, 2, non-domestic consumer, which includes commercial, industrial, business consumers, and vegetable and livestock producers, and 3, public sector agencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed by the Central Water Authority that since year 2015 till 31st May 2023, a total number of 71,822 applications have been received for new water supply for domestic connections, and 7,693 applications received for non-domestic connections. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am tabling details on the applications received and those outstanding as from the year 2015 onwards. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is worthy to highlight that there are several issues according to the Central Water Authority that impede the processing of new water supply connections, and these include relief from the Road Development Authority and other local authorities for fixing of new supply connection, delay by the applicant to carry out pipelaying works, delay by the applicant in paying the financial contribution to the Central Water Authority, delay in submission of missing and additional documents by the applicant, bad weather conditions, temporary shortage of meters and other fittings, dispute between applicant and family and neighbors, and other technical issues such as no service main, low pressure owing to elevated areas, and encrusted cast iron pipe. Mr. Speaker, sir, with a view to addressing the above, and to accelerate the process for new water supply connections, the Central Water Authority has set up a Geographical Information System, that is a GIS platform, to georeference its water network and appurtenances with coordinates. Moreover, a joint standing committee between my ministry and the Ministry of National Infrastructure and Community Development, with representatives of the Road Development Authority and the public utility bodies, has been set up to facilitate wayleave issues. The scope of work of the contractors fixing the new connections and the number of connections per contract is also being reviewed by the CWA. It is expected that the above measures would ease the process of new water supply connections. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Looking at the information table, for the year 2023, there has been 2,961 applications received since January 2023. And according to the information provided to us, 2,657 of the connections are outstanding. So that's 90%. 90% of the people who have applied for new domestic supply, domestic consumers who have applied since January 2023, 90% has not been connected to the water supply. Can I know from the Honourable Minister, is he in a position to state today whether CWA has sufficient meters to connect these outstanding 2,657 domestic consumers?
Yes, in fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, the two main reasons for these figures are pending wayleaves, one, and the other one, procurement of meters. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, after COVID, there has been delays in the procurement of meters. That is why we have these outstanding numbers. Third thing also, Mr. Speaker, sir, is with regard to appointment of contractor and the number of connections to be done by the contractors. There also, Mr. Speaker, sir, I've requested CWA to increase the number of connections to be done by the contractor on a weekly basis.
Doesn't the Honourable Minister agree that rather than subcontracting connection of these water supply, the CWA should actually increase its manpower and carry out the connection in-house?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. In fact, many of those connections are done in-house. And we use the CWA labor to do part of the connection. But still, there is not sufficient labor to be able to cope with the demand in new water supply connection. We need also contractors, Mr. Speaker, sir. With regard to recruitment of workers of the CWA, Mr. Speaker, sir, as it is, the CWA has recruited a number of workers recently, and we are putting those workers at good use, Mr. Speaker, sir. In case we find that in the future that we need to recruit, we will do so.
Next question.
B707.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed that the Central Electricity Board has two definite benefit pension schemes, namely the CB Staff Pension Fund and the CB Manual Workers Pension Fund, which were established on the 1st January 1974 and on the 1st January 1976, respectively, in accordance with Section 8 of the CB Act. Both funds are governed by the private pension scheme Act 2012, FSC rules, and its constitutive documents. Each fund is administered by a governing body consisting of 6 members, out of which 3 members are appointed by the Central Electricity Board, and the remaining 3 members are elected by the members of the annual general meeting. As at February 2023, both pension funds had a total of 1,384 pensioners and 1,559 members. Since 1st September 2016, the CEB is implementing a defined contribution pension scheme, and both the defined benefit pension funds are closed to new entrants since that date. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to an actuarial valuation, there has been a net defined benefit liability since 1989 for the CEB Manual Workers Pension Fund, and since 1991 for the CEB Staff Pension Fund. The main reasons behind the financial position of these initially defined benefit pension funds are due to various increases in salaries and conditions of employment following successive salary reviews and the implementation of the different collective agreements over the years. Moreover, the actual returns of the fund assets have been lower than expected. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the CEB that the estimated net defined benefit liability as from the 31st December 2022 is 5.7 billion rupees. It is worthy to highlight that following an actuarial valuation by the pension funds in 2017, and in order to alleviate the effects of the shortfall, the Central Electricity Board approved that a contingency plan be developed for these pension funds. Accordingly, in November 2020, the Central Electricity Board approved a contingency funding plan with annual contributions of 484 million and 312.9 million rupees over a period of 18 years to the CEB Staff Pension Fund and the CEB Manual Workers Pension Fund, respectively. Thus, 350 million was injected by the Central Electricity Board in the pension funds in September 2018, 748.5 million in February 2021, and 796.9 million in September 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, with a view to safeguarding the pension benefits of its current and past employees, the CEB had appointed a consultant last year to, among others, A, take cognizance of the updated actuarial valuation reports of the CEB Staff Pension Fund and the CEB Manual Workers Pension Fund, and to advise on ways and means to reduce the shortfall in both pension funds. And B, advise on the merging of the conditions of service and salary scales of manual and staff grades, and eventually the staff and manual pension funds. The consultant has recently submitted its report with the following recommendations. A review of the updated actuarial valuation reports of the CEB Staff Pension Fund and CEB Manual Workers Pension Fund, appointment of an external investment advisor, introduction of performance fees and key performance indicators for investment manager, investment strategy be revisited to ensure that investment risk is minimized and assets are invested to closely match future cash flows, investment strategies such as liability-driven investments or pension obligation bonds would help to achieve this goal. Pension plan investments in real estate, direct property investment, conversion of defined benefit into defined contribution scheme, and merging of the staff pension fund and manual workers pension fund. Mr. Speaker, sir, these recommendations are being considered by the Central Electricity Board. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Monsieur le Président, si j'ai bien compris la réponse du ministre, il y a un déficit de 5,7 milliards de roupies dans les deux fonds de pension, le Staff Pension Fund et les Manual Workers Pension Fund. Donc, plus de 5,7 milliards de roupies. La direction du CEB, comme l'a précisé le ministre, a pris l'engagement de renflouer, d'alimenter ce fonds, ces deux fonds, à la hauteur de 800 millions de roupies par an. Un versement de 400 millions de roupies est dû depuis juin de l'année dernière. Le ministre peut indiquer à la Chambre pourquoi la direction du CEB a refusé de verser ces 400 millions de roupies dus comme c'est prévu dans l'accord pour renflouer ce fonds.
Monsieur le Président, effectivement, l'honorable membre a bien donné des chiffres. Hein. Il y a un déficit de 5,7 milliards de roupies depuis 31 décembre 2022. Monsieur le Président, ce déficit remonte à beaucoup d'années de cela. Et c'est malheureux, je dois le dire. Ce matin, le Premier ministre a éclairé l'ampoule de l'honorable membre, mais ça ne s'allume toujours pas. Pourquoi je dis ça? Parce qu'il a été président de ce conseil d'administration. Et pendant les années où il a été le président du conseil d'administration de cette organisation, on n'a jamais injecté de l'argent dans ces fonds. C'est pourquoi le déficit aujourd'hui est autant. Deuxième chose, nous avons pris l'engagement et nous avons versé de l'argent dans ce fonds pour la première fois, Monsieur le Président. Et nous allons le faire. Qui reste rassuré que le CEB va faire le nécessaire en ce qui concerne ces deux fonds de pension parce que, comme je l'ai dit dans ma réponse, ils ont recruté un consultant qui est venu de l'avant avec les recommandations et nous allons veiller à ce qu'on implémente ces recommandations, Monsieur le Président. Merci.
Monsieur le Président, la vérité est malheureusement tout autre. Et le ministre essaye de noyer le poisson. Ceci dit,
c'est vous que je noie.
Permettez-moi de poser la question. Pourquoi vous êtes
indécent de poser cette question-là.
Monsieur le Président, le fait demeure que le ministre est en poste depuis 3 ans. Ce fonds de pension aujourd'hui a un déficit de 5,7 milliards de roupies et le ministre depuis 3 ans ne fait absolument rien. Absolument rien, alors que l'avenir de 2600 employés sont concernés par ce fonds de pension. La vérité, est-ce que le ministre peut confirmer? Le ministre peut confirmer la vérité, c'est que est-ce que le ministre peut confirmer? Oui. Est-ce que le ministre peut confirmer? Yes. Non, c'est pas encore. Je pose la question maintenant. Non, mais j'ai dit au ministre, attendez, laissez-moi expliquer ma question. La vérité, est-ce que le ministre peut confirmer? Est-ce que le ministre peut confirmer que la vérité, c'est que 3,6 milliards de roupies des fonds du CEB ont été pris par le ministère des Finances pour mettre dans le Consolidated Fund. C'est pour ça que le CEB n'a pas pu payer les 400 millions de roupies dans les fonds de pension, ces deux fonds de pension des travailleurs.
Not at all, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mais je pense que cette ampoule ne va jamais s'allumer. Ça, c'est clair. Not at all, Mr. Speaker, sir, because I've stated that we've already put money into that fund, and we will do so, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You finish?
Yeah, I'll finish.
So next question.
B 708.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Child Development Unit of my ministry that the number of reported cases of teenage pregnancy for the years 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 stands at 309, 244, 238, and 172, respectively. With regard to Part A of the question, I am informed by the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology that school dropouts among teenage pregnant girls for the years 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 stand at 6, 11, 11, and 12, respectively. I am also informed, Mr. Speaker, sir, that as per the policy of the Ministry of Education, leave of absence is granted to these girls during their pregnancy and post-delivery period. This allows them to take care of their health, prepare for the delivery, and take care of their babies during the first months postpartum. Their right to education is also safeguarded by allowing the students to resume school after they have delivered. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed that the National Education Counselling Service has been providing support to teenage mothers and their families through the interventions of educational social workers and educational psychologists so that we can ensure the students' well-being and their continuous education. The National Education Counselling Service also collaborates with other stakeholders and non-governmental organizations such as Mouvement d'aide à la maternité to empower and guide teenage mothers and their families regarding issues surrounding pregnancy and to ensure their smooth integration back in school. Psychosocial support through counseling sessions with the educational psychologist and regular home visits from the educational social worker are also provided to these students. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry further assists these teenage mothers through psychological support whenever required. Officers, together with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Mauritius Family Planning and Welfare Association, conduct sensitization and awareness programs at regular basis. In respect to Part B of the question, I am informed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness that the maternal mortality rate per 1,000 live births among teenagers in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 stands at 1.0, 4.1, 0, and 0, respectively. Thank you.
Vu le nombre alarmant de grossesses précoces, est-ce que la ministre, l'honorable ministre, a l'intention d'appliquer les recommandations de la rapporteuse spéciale des Nations Unies qu'une éducation sexuelle obligatoire fasse partie du cursus scolaire ou si elle a l'intention de conseiller à la ministre de l'Éducation de le faire?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would agree with the honourable member that it is a matter of concern that our society faces, like so many other societies across the world, by the way, of this scourge. But it is not totally correct to say that it is as alarming as being portrayed by the honourable member, because we have been experiencing a decreasing trend in the reported cases of teenage pregnancy and also of maternal mortality rate, as I have just said in my main response. But I also agree that education remains the basis of the core solution to this problem, and I can reassure the House and the population that among all the stakeholders I have mentioned in my main reply, we do work closely with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to sensitize, to bring solutions, to educate. And there is a curriculum, a module, as far as I understand, on sexual education, which happens to most likely have room for improvement, and we shall be working on that, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Vu la vulnérabilité de la santé des adolescentes enceintes, est-ce que l'honorable ministre peut nous dire quels soutiens prénataux leur sont offerts afin de réduire les taux de mortalité maternelle?
Mr. Speaker, sir, once again I refer to the honourable member to the maternal mortality rate that I have just provided to the House. And we have had zero teenage maternal mortality rate for the past 2 years. So that's already a good job being done. But as to what preventive measures are undertaken, there's a panoply of support, therapeutical services, which is provided free of charge. Sensitization programs across the whole island through our social welfare centers, our community centers, drop-in centers. C'est fait en long et en large.
Next question.
B709.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to refer the honourable member to my reply made to his parliamentary question B30 at our sitting of 28 March 2023. In the case of the fishing vessel Yufeng number 67, the operation was a wreck and pollutants removal operation, as the vessel was no more salvageable, as opposed to salvage, which means saving the vessel. In a wreck removal operation, the vessel is recovered from being completely destroyed, but cannot be used anymore. The wreck and pollutants removal operation has not been completed. So far, no further payment has been made to the salvage company, except for the mobilization costs, as mentioned in my reply of 28 March 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, on 11th May 2023, my ministry had a meeting with the Taiwanese delegation who was in Mauritius to participate in the IUTC meeting to discuss about the need for pollutants and wreck removal operation of FV Yufeng number 67. On 12th of May, an official letter was addressed to the Taiwanese authorities on this matter through diplomatic channel, and a copy handed over to the head of the Taiwanese delegation. I'm informed that the reply is still being awaited from the Taiwanese authorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also informed that as a date, an amount of 50,257,604.36, representing costs of personnel, use and deployment of assets, salvage operations, as well as accommodation and food provided to rescued crew members, compiled by the shipping division of my ministry following submission from various ministries, governmental bodies, and other organizations in respect of the grounding, was submitted on 1st June 2023 to the owner and insurer for reimbursement. However, compiling of claims is still ongoing, and further claims will be forwarded to the owner and insurer. My ministry is following up the matter with the owner and insurer of the wrecked vessel with a view to recouping the above expenses incurred to date. Concurrently, my ministry is consulting the AG's office regarding legal avenues possible for obtaining prompt settlement of all claims. Mr. Speaker, sir, as at 1st June, no oil pollution has been reported as confirmed by the NCG.
Monsieur le Président, le bateau a fait naufrage en décembre de l'année dernière. Ma question date de mars de cette année-ci et on est en juin. Est-ce que le ministre est en train de nous confirmer qu'il est en train de laisser le bateau à l'abandon sur les récifs de Saint-Brandon, y compris le diesel qui s'y trouve? Et je rappelle à la Chambre que le ministre n'était pas en mesure de me confirmer le volume de diesel et de polluants qui se trouve actuellement sur le bateau et qui, je rappelle, est sur le récif de Saint-Brandon.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I did, in my main response to the parliamentary question B30, I did say that all the solid pollutants were removed through the Indian ship. With regard to the diesel on board, is still in the vessel. And also I did reply, I said that I had informed that the government decided that the responsible for the wreck and pollutants removal operation would henceforth be looked into by the Ministry of Local Government and Disaster, and at the level at the NDRMC, under the chair of the VPM. This is where it is treated now.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it seems that the minister is not aware that the diesel can cause serious environmental pollution in the area of Saint-Brandon and the surroundings. This is my first point. And I'd like to know from you, there was a due diligence exercise that was supposed to be carried out by the Office of the Attorney General. Can you please give us the output of the due diligence, if it has been done?
In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry conducted a due diligence exercise with regard, that was in regard to the representation made by the salvage company as to whether the proposed plan of action could really have been executed, being given the weather conditions and sea condition at the casualty site, always rough with heavy swells. The report of the due diligence exercise has been submitted to the State Law Office, and there was a meeting yesterday. I'm informed that there was a meeting yesterday at the AG's office, and for the way forward with regard to the additional claim by the salvage company.
No. Next question.
B710.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Child Development Unit of my ministry that as at date, there are 52 children aged between 16 and 17 years admitted in different residential care institutions, and that reintegration plans are prepared for those children as from the age of 17 years so that they are successfully reinserted and mainstream. Schooling and skilling as appropriate are prominent in the prise en charge of those 17-year-old residents. Moreover, once these children reach adulthood, Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry ensures that they are either reintegrated within their family setting, be it biological, next of kin, or acquaintances who are willing to accommodate them. However, those who cannot be reintegrated in family settings are placed within non-governmental organizations which are mandated to rehabilitate young adults. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that the National Children Council, under the aegis of my ministry, has a series of programs for children who are about to leave the residential care institutions so as to prepare them for their reintegration in mainstream society. As of date, some 34 children have benefited from training programs. It is to be noted that once a child is 18 years old, he or she is an adult, and as an adult, he or she has a right to self-determination. Nevertheless, the family unit of my ministry, in collaboration with the NCC and other NGOs, carries out a follow-up on the children when they leave our RCIs. Thank you.
Ma question n'était pas en rapport aux RCIs. Ma question concernait les jeunes qui atteignent la majorité et qui doivent quitter les shelters et qui n'ont pas de famille pour les accueillir. Et clairement, la ministre parle de reinsertion plans, de rehabilitation plans.
No, you're taking the path of the
Mais
debate.
il n'y a aucune structure mise en place.
Listen to me. You're taking the path of a debate. You must be having good questions. Shorten the question, put the direct question to the minister.
La ministre nous dit que ce sont les ONG qui accueillent ces jeunes à l'âge de 18 ans. Ne pense-t-elle pas que c'est de la responsabilité de l'État de donner un emplacement à ces jeunes pour qu'ils puissent démarrer dans leur vie d'adulte? Parce que quand ils atteignent la majorité, ils sont littéralement jetés à la rue.
Please, listen to me. Arrête de crier, arrête de crier. Please, listen to the speaker. Don't listen to your father, listen to the speaker. What I mean, please, what I mean, decorum, yeah. She should have decorum. She should have decorum. You are right. Let's follow the advice of Honorable Boulel. Decorum. What I mean, you put your question directly to the minister. Don't make debate, don't make statements. Never.
Que c'est de la responsabilité de l'État et pas celle des ONG d'accueillir ces jeunes qui atteignent la majorité, de leur donner un logement pour qu'ils puissent commencer leur vie d'adulte, alors qu'ils n'ont pas un sou, qu'ils n'ont pas d'emploi et qu'ils sont littéralement jetés à la rue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the honourable member has probably not paid due attention to the announcement made by the Minister of Finance in his budget presentation, whereby an allocation of 20,000 rupees is being given to any child in this country, be it from the shelters or being across the island. So, sans un sou, vous dites sans un sou. And responsibility of the state, we are fully taking care of our responsibility from the time a minor who has been suffering from distress or harm is placed under the care of l'État in those residential care institutions. Therefore, it is extremely misleading for the honourable member to purport that we are not fulfilling our responsibilities. Thank you.
Ce n'est certainement pas 20 000 roupies qui leur permettra de commencer leur vie d'adulte décemment. Dans le budget, justement, et je regrette que la ministre vienne de faire ce commentaire déplorable, parce que j'ai écouté le discours du budget avec attention, et justement, je viens avec une question.
From there. If you are not putting any question, I'll stop you.
Halfway homes pour les mineurs sortant du CYC. Est-ce que la ministre est-elle au courant qu'actuellement, il n'y a que 9 enfants dans le CYC, dont 3 qui iront directement en prison, malheureusement. Donc, est-ce que ces halfway homes, souvent elle accuse l'opposition de ne rien proposer, de faire que des critiques, je viens lui proposer une solution là. Est-ce que ces halfway homes ne peuvent pas être utilisés aujourd'hui pour accueillir ces jeunes qui atteignent la majorité, pour au moins leur donner un logement pour qu'ils puissent commencer leur vie d'adulte?
Mr. Speaker, sir, not only is this supplementary not even related to the main question, but to indulge her with a reply, because she's quite passionate, as I am, about this topic, we will give it due consideration.
Next question.
B711.
Mr. Speaker, sir, over the past few years, severe rockfalls have occurred during heavy rainfall at the bottom of the cliff at the Black River Savannah Coast Road B9, Makonde, endangering road users thereat. As a result, the road had to be closed and traffic diverted through Bejucap, Chamarel, Casnoyal, B104, with a view to addressing this issue. The Road Development Authority is implementing a project, namely the design, build for purging of rock and provision of rock net at Makonde. The aim of the project is to stabilize the Makonde cliff over a length of 500 meters and to make the road safer for road users. With regard to part A of the question, I'm informed by the RDA that the scope of work comprises of the following. First, design of rock nets. Second, removal of loose rocks in the area. Procurement and complete installation of rock nets over an approximate area of 3,600 meters square with all necessary fittings, cable, anchors, among others. Traffic diversion and management scheme. The project has been awarded to Traffic Limited for an amount of 39.9 million rupees exclusive of VAT for a duration of 5 months. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regard of part B of the question, with a view of ensuring safe transit of inhabitants thereat, a consultation exercise with members of Parliament of the constituency, representative of the NDU, of the District Council of Savannah and Black River, Force Vive of Bejucap and Shwazi villages was held on 17 April 2023 to explain the project and discuss appropriate measures to be taken. It has subsequently been agreed to proceed as follows. First, the road would be completely closed from 4th of May 2023 between 8 a.m. to 15:30 hours to enable the contractor to proceed with the work safely for a period of 3 months. The traffic would be diverted on the Bejucap Chamarel Casnoyal Road 1B104. Provision for shuttle has been made as from 8 a.m. to 15:30 hours from Béjucap to Cas-Noyal and as from 7:30 to 15:30 hours from Cas-Noyal to Béjucap at an interval of 30 minutes for each trip for both directions. Thirdly, the road will remain open at night and there will be no road closure during weekends and public holidays. Mr. Speaker, sir, the above measures will ensure that inhabitants of the region and commuters will face minimal inconveniences owing to the ongoing works. The road closure will end on the 4th July 2023 and the project will be completed in September 2023. Thank you.
Can the Honourable Minister state the reasons why the works were supposed to start in 2023 and in 2021 and it started only in May 2023?
In fact, Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member to give me the opportunity to explain. And this is one of the reasons why some projects do get delayed at time. So, in fact, true, the project was awarded to Sotravic Limited in September 2021. And given at that point in time, at the road from Cas-Noyal to Chamarel, B104 had been temporarily closed in the context of the ongoing work where landslide slope stability treatment was being carried out. We couldn't implement this project as we needed another avenue. Otherwise, we would have closed the village completely. We would have closed the B9 and the B104. So we waited for the project of B104 to be completed. Then we reached the end of year. So we wouldn't want to close that road for the end of year. Then we went into Mahashivratri. Then we decided, so let's wait for the Easter school holiday to be over. Then we will start with the work. So this is exactly what we did for the convenience of the inhabitants out there. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre. Alors, je voudrais juste attirer votre attention sur les détails que vous venez de donner sur le service d'autobus, des navettes, les horaires d'autobus. Je vous demanderai de veiller fermement à ce que les travaux prennent fin en temps et lieu au mois prévu et de voir également en même temps le...
This is not a question. You stop there. You stop there. You have no question.
Non, je...
Next
Le
question.
Président.
Dr. Omir.
B7, 1, 2.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the region of Rousseau-du-Pouce and Trengbar has been declared as a high-risk flood-prone on the 1st August and 23rd September 2019, respectively, by the Land Drainage Authority following numerous flooding events thereat. The NDU had implemented 2 drain projects near the entrance of Rousseau-du-Pouce at Jules Malaki Street, near the Kalimata Mandir, and at end of Pussy Street and Jules Malaki Street, Trengbar, for an amount of 23.2 million in 2019 and 2020. These projects have contributed at attenuating the risk of flooding in the region. In addition, the NDU appointed a consultant to carry out the design and supervision of the upgrading of a storm drain and provision of retaining wall at Nazareth, Trengbar. Following the finalization of the detailed design report by the consultant, the LDA submitted its no objection to the implementation of the project. Subsequently, the NDU invited bids for the appointment of a contractor in June 2022. However, one bid was received and was non-responsive. The bidding exercise was therefore cancelled in November 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to fast-track the implementation of the National Flood Management Programme, the DICL was created under the aegis of my ministry and was entrusted the responsibility for this project. The project was therefore handed over to DICL in November 2022 for implementation, and the scope is as follows. Construction of a masonry and gabion wall along two sides of Pussy Stream over a stretch of 400 meters, desilting works along the Pussy Stream over a stretch of about 125 meters, and riverbed lining works with reinforced concrete along the Pussy Stream over a stretch of 400 meters. It is expected that the bid will be invited for the appointment of a contractor shortly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister have any time plan as to when the plight of these 150 families will be sorted out with regard to the implementation of the project you just mentioned?
Just explain the whole thing, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Time plan of execution, not of tender.
We need to find a contractor first.
My next question. Does the Minister have any information whether officers of his ministry will conduct or plan to conduct a site visit and assess the plight of these 150 inhabitants, together with the help of the elected members of Parliament there?
Mr. Speaker, sir, other ministries, we have very competent engineers. They have already done their job. We have we have appointed a consultant to advise, so they are doing their job.
Next question.
Yes, B713.
Mr. Speaker, sir, stock monitoring of drugs on the local market doesn't fall under the control of the ministry. No official correspondence from suppliers on shortage of medicines on the local market is reported to my ministry. It has only been reported in press and social media. However, the honorable member, if would have provided us with the specific drug, I would have supplied the information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you mentioned that it has been reported in the press, so I would have believed that you have read the newspaper, because in Défi Quotidien...
No. Please. You must be having very good questions.
Of course I do, as usual.
Go directly to your supplementary question.
I'm coming, but you should let me do my job.
No.
I'm paid to do that.
Just respect the quality, the propriety of a supplementary question. That's all. Go direct.
Anyway, as I said, to the Honourable Minister, can I ask the Honourable Minister if his ministry is in favour of parallel imports, as is the case in other countries, because parallel import would have eased access to medicine at much lower prices?
Mr. Speaker, sir, parallel import, there is a ministerial committee chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is working, I know the Minister of Commerce as well, and with the technicians, they are working on the different modalities and how this would be implemented. We have to wait for that committee to report before we know how to proceed with parallel import.
But, Mr. Honourable Minister, it has been long since we've been having this issue. It's coming, Mr. Speaker.
No,
let me introduce my subject.
One
I know
thing
how to do my job. I've been here for...
Listen to my ruling. Please, listen to my ruling. So many questions left every Tuesday. So many questions. You take too much time in your supplementary question. It doesn't matter. I'm giving you your 2 supplementary questions, but it should be proper questions. Go ahead with your question.
So, Honourable Minister, can I ask you again, if you are aware of the monopolistic situation that we have in Mauritius in terms of importation of medicine? And my question is, again, would you agree with me that without...
Now you're doubling your question.
No, my question is coming.
The first question. Please go ahead. Reply the first question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
No, you can't. This is supplementary question. Honorable Amiamia, you are a seasoned politician and parliamentarian. You know, I know you know, and you know. I know, yes, and you also, you know. So, Minister, reply the first question.
Mr. Speaker, sir, see, honourable member should have given me notice of the question of parallel import. The question is on the shortage of drugs on the local market. Be specific with that. The result, you should have given me which drug is not available. I'll give you information. For any drug, tell me the list first. For every drug, there is not one brand. I'll give you analgesics. There are paracetamol, 190 brand and dosage. Give me the specific drug that is not available. I'll give you the reply for that. If you will, you don't have questions on. No, you don't have questions on shortage of drugs, and you are coming up with other.
Okay, finish with that. Next question.
B714.
Yes, the medicine of my friend Adil Amia is confusing us all. Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I'll shall reply to parliamentary question B714. I thank the honourable member for this parliamentary question. This parliamentary question demonstrates the inherent trust that the honourable member has in the light rail system as a modern method of transit. This parliamentary question be a testimony to the fact that the Metro Express project is necessary for the development of the land transport system in Mauritius, and that it is a viable, worthwhile and feasible project. In fact, our citizens all across the country are anticipating the extension of the light rail alignment in their region. The light rail leads to the development of the areas surrounding the alignment and its stations. Mr. Speaker, sir, the vision of the government is to extend the light rail network throughout the island in phases. As such, the Metro Express Limited would be developing a strategic railway master plan. The strategic railway master plan would provide a high-level alignment of the light rail island-wide, linking the major rural zones and future major real estate developments. It would also include multimodal infrastructural requirements along the right rail transit alignment, together with a phased implementation plan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think we don't have the substantive minister, but still I will ask the question. Will the Honourable Minister inform the House, if he has the information, whether UNESCO is agreeable or not regarding the tracé itinerary proposed by the government, as it impacts directly in the buffer zone and hence can result in Apravasi Ghat losing its status as a World Heritage Site?
This does not pertain to the main question, Mr. Speaker.
It pertains.
The Minister, the reply is for the Minister.
Okay, I leave it to you.
I give you another supplementary if you have one.
Yes, I have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Will the Honourable Minister inform the House, if he can, whether any contract for the extension of the metro line to the north was signed, and if yes, is there any penalty fee which is being paid?
No, Mr. Speaker, as I just said, there's a strategic railway master plan that is being carried, that is in preparation, and that will determine the future development of the railway implementation, deployment, yes.
Next question.
B715.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I shall arrange to have the list of Mauritian delegates placed in the Library of the National Assembly. As regards to cost incurred, I am advised that a total amount of 10.5 million rupees approximately was disbursed by the MTPA for participation in the Arabian Travel Market 2023.
Entendu le montant pour les 4 jours.
10,5 millions à peu près.
Merci.
Next question.
Est-ce que...
You have a question?
Oui, j'ai une question. Ce n'était pas ma question, c'était pour éclaircir. Est-ce que l'honorable ministre peut nous communiquer la liste des groupes hôteliers qui ont participé à cet Arabian Travel Market et si quelconque assistance leur a été fournie par la MTPA.
Mr. Speaker, I have a list of various participants. Now, which are hotel groups and which are not, I cannot say for sure. I know the list includes Maritime Resort and Spa, Lux Collective, Sun Life Hotel, Beachcomber Resorts and Hotels, Shanti Maurice Resort and Spa, Sofitel Mauritius Imperial Resort and Spa, Le Jadis Beach Resort and Wellness, Marriott, Sea Resorts Hotels Limited. I think those are the hotels. There are other participants within the tourism sector, but the complete list will be placed in the library.
Can the Minister inform House who led the delegation, motion delegation?
What I understand is that there were 38 participants, 3 on behalf of the MTPA and 35 from the private sector. I am not informed whether there was a designated personality to lead the delegation as such, unless the honourable gentleman has anything more precise in mind.
Question. Next. It's okay, it's okay. Next question.
B716.
Mr. Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed that the NSLD has indeed received claims in respect of consultancy services to the tune of approximately 337 million rupees. With regard to Part B of the question, I am further informed by the NSLD that as at 6 June 2023, 5 claims amounting to a total of approximately 104 million rupees have been received.
So in total, about 440 million rupees of claims have been received from consultants who have not produced anything concrete so far. Can I ask the Honourable Minister how much has been disbursed to these consultants so far?
I take, Mr. Speaker, strong objection to the remark that the consultants have not produced anything concrete. And I would like to refer to the Honourable Gentleman to answers to 2 PQs recently put before the House on the 25th of April. In answer to PQ B321 from the Honourable Utim, I had the opportunity of pointing out that Honourable Utim asked something else. I apologise. I refer to the PQ put by the Honourable Gentleman himself on 25th of April, and this is what I stated. Those consultants, PMCCs as they were called, did what they were paid for. So they did the topographical surveys, the geotechnical investigations, they oversaw the feasibility studies, they sought the preliminary clearances from authorities, preliminary master plans of sites, assessment of extent of off-site works. Now all that information produced by the PMCCs is being used by the NSLD, and all that information is being placed at the disposal of the contractors. I understand there is no compensation, but there is a prorated assessment of works undertaken.
So, I'll put my question again. which was how much has been paid to these consultants, because you've not given a figure so far. And because the future developments will be on a design and build, meaning the contractors in question will have to recruit consultants anyhow. That is why I say they've served no purpose paying so much money. So my question again is how much has been paid to them so far?
Mr. Speaker, this is a parliamentary question. The honourable gentleman has his opinion. I respect his opinion. We're not here to debate opinions. I have been asked a question, and the honourable gentleman puts it to me that this work was unnecessary. I beg to differ, and I have explained why. Now, as regards payments in respect of 337 million rupees, I understand, have been effected. This is for work undertaken, assessed, which work I have provided details of the nature of the work. That work is directly relevant, irrespective of the change in approach. Now, the new contractors have a contract with a contractual value. What they do, how they spend their money, is for them to decide. But all the information that is available has been provided. For instance, geotechnical investigation in respect of the very same site does not need to be undertaken anew. That stands to reason. This is just one example. The topographical survey is there for use by the contractor. So the money has not been lost. It has been paid in respect of work undertaken, and which work is still relevant and is being used. As regards the component for loss of profits, there have been no payments so far. This is still being assessed as to the actual basis of the claims and as to the legal propriety of payment of any such loss of profit.
E717.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the honourable member to address me this PQ. With regard to part A of the question, methadone is a chronic treatment for chronic disease of addiction. It's an opioid agonist substitution treatment, which is part of the harm reduction strategy for drug users who inject heroin and is used for this purpose in many countries. As the UNODC points out in its 2022 report entitled Establishing and Delivering Evidence-Based High-Quality Opioid Agonist Therapy Services, this treatment is necessary to reduce overdose and prevent communicable diseases such as HIV and hepatitis C. It improves health and physical well-being, reduces delinquency, and improves social ties. It also allows a synergy with the paramedical staff in order to facilitate and improve the quality of medical care. Mr. Speaker, sir, the HIV epidemic, which began in 1987 in Mauritius, grew slowly in its early years. With the emergence, then the rapid increase in the number of injecting drug users, the HIV epidemic's growth accelerated in 3 to 4 years, with a peak in HIV occurrence in 2005. That is, 921 cases identified during that year, a huge proportion of which was caused by intravenous drug use. The prevalence of HIV among people who inject drugs was then around 90%. Based upon recommendations of the UNODC, harm reduction strategies were set up in Mauritius during the year 2006, including, but not limited to, methadone. Currently, around 7,800 beneficiaries are on the methadone substitution therapy program. Methadone dispensing is carried out daily at 48 sites across Mauritius, including 4 sites in prison settings. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to offer a comprehensive package of services to methadone beneficiaries, 5 daycare centers for methadone have been set up in different health regions across the island. The services offered by the Ministry of Health are methadone induction, methadone dispensing, follow-up clinics, psychosocial support, counseling, distribution of condoms, and educational materials. The 5 centers are found at Sainte-Croix, Cassis, Maïbo, and the remaining 2 at Frangipan and Orchidée Drug Treatment and Rehabilitation Center at Brownsacre Mental Health Care Center, Beaubassin. The previous written and revised methadone protocol was dated back to 2018. It perfectly explained the method of dispensing methadone, which is still in use today and which will be gradually replaced by the new protocol. Mr. Speaker, sir, methadone dispensing is performed by a pharmacy technician and a nursing officer as per directly observed therapy procedure. The pharmacy technician hands over the prescribed methadone container to the nursing officer, who ascertains the identity of the beneficiary and hands over the sealed methadone container to the beneficiary. The latter has to ingest his methadone dose in front of the nursing officer and return back the container. Mr. Speaker, sir, the new protocols which have been officially launched by my ministry on 21st March 2023 have been worked out by a technical working group comprising officers of my ministry, representatives of NGOs involved in the implementation of harm reduction strategies under the guidance of Dr. David Mété, chef de service d'addictologie, Centre hospitalier universitaire de La Réunion. This protocol is bringing changes to both the methods of induction, which is currently being done on an outpatient basis for most patients, thereby reducing and soon eliminating the waiting list. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite all efforts made by the Ministry to enhance service delivery, it's true to say that yearly around 40 cases of methadone diversion are officially reported to the harm reduction unit by the police. With regard to Part B of the question, there can be several reasons to ask why methadone diversion may happen. The reasons contributing to methadone diversion are mainly due to the number of patients at certain dispensing sites that can grow above 600 patients. Often a crowd of beneficiaries can turn up at a particular time and create a complicated situation for dispensing. And in such circumstances, certain beneficiaries seize the opportunity to take their methadone and may sneak away with the dose, which can be diverted without injecting the dose in front of the team.
Thank you, Speaker. Is the Minister aware that there has been reports of alleged methadone traffic, sometimes alleging involvement of officers from his ministry, and whether the ministry has initiated an internal inquiry?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm very much aware of one officer of the ministry involved in traffic of methadone, and the inquiry has been conducted by LADSU. And that said ministry, I believe he is having also a court case, and the minister has already interdicted him, yes, has already interdicted him for the time being.
Thank you, Speaker, sir. Is the ministry envisaging the introduction of any other drug substitution for drug addicts?
Mr. Speaker, sir, yes, the ministry is envisaging to introduce a drug called Suboxone, and this drug being used for addiction in other countries. So there would be a pilot study this year till the time we have the full comprehensive substitution, that is a dispensing protocol of Suboxone.
The table has been advised that PQB 719, 733, 735, 737, 738 have been withdrawn.
Next question.
B718.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the District Council of Pamplemousses that the construction of an incinerator at Cadbas consists of two distinct contracts, namely the construction of an incinerator building and the supply, installation and commissioning of an LPG-fired human incinerator. The total value of the project is to the tune of 13.7 million. Regarding the construction of the building, the contract was awarded to Prakash Fulchand Contractor Limited on the 28th of October 2019, and the works was completed on the 11th of November 2020. As regards the supply and installation and commissioning of the LPG-fired human incinerator and the gas network installation, the contract was awarded to Ray and L'Enferna Limited on the 7th of October 2021, and the delivery was expected within 6 months, that is, in April, on the 7th of April 2022. However, in view of the delay being encountered in the delivery of the incinerator equipment, the District Council of Pamplemousses have been holding several meetings with the supplier. And on the 29th of May 2023, the latter has informed that the shipment of the equipment is expected by the 19th of June 2023 and could be reaching Mauritius in the first week of July 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whether the Minister is aware that the lateness for operating this incinerator is causing much inconvenience to the inhabitants residing in the vicinity. These bereaved families have to go to Bois Marchand Cemetery, Triolet or Piton cremation ground. What action is being taken by your ministry to remedy this situation as soon as possible?
Mr. Speaker, sir, in the last year, we have installed about 13 incinerators in the last year. There was some lateness as well because we all know what happened during the COVID time and how the whole of India was under lockdown. We knew there had been a lot of delay, but in the last year, about 13 incinerators were installed across the island. So we are doing what's needed to be done. I appreciate in this case there has been some delay, but according to the contractor, the Ray L'Enferna, the incinerator would be reaching Mauritius in the first week of July, hopefully by next week, by next month, and it's going to take about another 3 to 4 weeks to be installed and commissioned. So I would hope by within 2 months' time, this should be ready.
May the Honourable Minister inform the House if there is any penalties attached to the contract that will be imposed on the contractor at fault?
Yeah, I mean, that would need to be sorted out because if it was if it was something that is beyond his responsibility, I mean, we can't penalize him. But anyway, we'll have to have a look at the clause and we'll see what needs to be done. We'll have a look at it.
Next question.
B720.
Mr. Speaker, I understand the requested information is being compiled and will be placed in the Library of National Assembly.
Seems like each time I ask a question, we don't get the information. I ask about the consultant also, I haven't received the information. But then I know from the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister whether he can at least tell the House if the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Operating Officer, subject matter of this PQ, have any experience in house construction projects.
Speaker, again, I take objection to what has been stated. The subject matter of the question is not only the chairperson and the chief operating officer. I was requested to provide information as to names and terms of appointment of the chairperson and all the board members, plus the chief executive officer, plus the chief operating officer, indicating in each case the monthly remuneration drawn. That is why we require some time, naturally, to compile all the information and make it available to the honourable gentleman.
Next question.
My question is about the qualification. I ask you, sorry, my question has not been answered. I asked, my supplementary question was that, at least can you inform the House if the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Operating Officer, mentioned in my question, has any experience in social housing, because they are CEO and CEO of this company.
I cannot at this point in time provide that information as to prior experience, but the CEO has been in place now for quite a while, and I'm sure that he has acquired valuable experience, as has the COO.
Next question.
B721.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed that the provision of 500 million rupees as announced during the budget speech 2022-2023 to the State Trading Corporation was to enable the latter to supply essential products such as milk, edible oil and pulses at subsidized rate to the public to make these products more affordable. I am informed that rice was not part of the products to be subsidized through this 500 million envelope. Ration rice is already subsidized through the contributions collected under the price structure of Mugas and Gasol, while basmati rice is a luxury product and consequently not subsidized. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed that the State Trading Corporation has not applied for any subsidy on pulses as it has been able to procure and sell pulses on the market at the same or lower than the prices applied by private traders. With regard to the amount spent of the 500 million rupees envelope, I am informed that the STC has claimed a total of 62.6 million rupees for the provision of subsidy on edible oil and milk powder, of which 59.2 million rupees has been used to subsidize the retail price of edible oil, and 3.4 million rupees has been used to subsidize the retail price of milk powder.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Ministre, on vient d'entendre dans le budget que la population n'arrive pas à joindre le debout.
No, you're making a speech.
Attends,
Each time
c'est
I'm
pour
telling
cela.
you have no question. Next question. No, you have no question.
B722.
Mr. Speaker, sir, concerning land vested in my ministry, in the report of the Director of Audit for the financial year 2021-2022, there is approximately 800,000 square meters of both state-owned and private-owned lands were located to my ministry for the purpose of operating our existing 150 health facilities and facilitating the development of approximately 60 new construction projects. To address the concerns raised by the National Audit Office, my ministry initiated procedures to reconcile the land inventory we have at the ministry level with the individual inventories maintained at each hospital. Additionally, the assistance of the Ministry of Housing and Land Use Planning has been sought to reconcile the list. Once the exercise is completed and a comprehensive understanding of the situation is obtained, and taking into account the upcoming new health infrastructure project, Ministry will determine the appropriate course of action. Furthermore, it's important to note that we have currently started the process of registering all the assets under the purview of my ministry on the government asset register. Mr. Speaker, sir, through our proactive
Private
approach,
conversation should be abroad, but here, outside the chamber. Abroad and outside, private conversation. Not inside. Outside. Respect.
Mr. Speaker, sir, through our approach and concerted efforts with all the related stakeholders, we have actively addressing the concerns related to land allocation and diligently working towards optimal asset management with my ministry. We remain in our commitment to upholding the highest standards of governance and ensuring that land and assets under our control are utilized for the benefit of the people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have only one supplementary question. Can the Honourable Minister table the list of assets once it's ready? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You reply? So next question.
B724.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Central Electricity Board that its Revenue Protection Section detects tampering and fraudulent obstruction cases through various ways and methods, such as routine verification of consumer meters and metering installations, analysis of consumption database and profiles, information escalated by the field service teams, anonymous complaints, and systematic follow-ups of previous tampering occurrences. Further, the Central Electricity Board has also established a fraud squad comprising 2 engineers, 2 principal technical officers, 7 technical officers, and 7 technicians for the continuous monitoring of these illegal acts. Mr. Speaker, sir, tampering of electricity meter and illegal obstruction of electricity through unauthorized connections does not only constitute an offense according to Section 41 of the Electricity Act 2005, but is also a hazard which can lead to electrocutions and severe burns. Therefore, the penalty has been increased, and on conviction, a person is liable to a fine not exceeding 100,000 rupees and to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part A of the question, I am informed by the Central Electricity Board that over the last 5 years, that is from the 1st of January 2019 to 31st May 2023, 1,488 cases of alleged tampering of electricity meters and illegal abstraction of electricity have been reported. Concerning Part B of the question, I am further informed that the Central Electricity Board has embarked on the installation of smart meters on a large scale. These meters have enabled the timely notification of alarms, including for cases of suspicious obstruction of electricity. Some 80,000 such meters have already been installed, and the project is ongoing and is expected to be completed in 5 years. Further, citizens can report cases of alleged theft anonymously through CB Contact Center, Mocourant app, or by email. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Regarding the alleged cases of tampering of meter, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether there has been reported cases where, in fact, instead of tampering, it was defective meter that was causing excessive use of electricity? Is he aware of same, and has this been reported to the Ministry?
There must be, Mr. Speaker, sir, meters which have excessive metering. And in that case, I think there is a normal procedure at the level of the Central Electricity Board where a consumer can make a complaint, and the CB will do the needful to check whether the billing is being carried out in an excessive manner.
The 80,000 smart meter that has been installed already all over the island, have there been any reported alleged case of tampering despite the use of the smart meter? Are you ensuring that the smart meter can prevent tampering?
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not have this information with me, but I believe that it will be more difficult for somebody to tamper the smart meter.
Time over.
Motion.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Seconded. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Aye. The ayes have it.
Statements by ministers none. Public bill.
Honorable Jatan.
Merci. Monsieur le Président, c'est avec un profond sentiment de fierté et de privilège que je prends la parole cet après-midi pour apporter ma contribution au débat sur le budget 2023-2024 présenté par le ministre des Finances, le docteur l'honorable Renganathan Padayachi, vendredi dernier. Pour moi, le ministre des Finances, l'honorable Padayachi, a réussi avec brio ce que l'autre côté de la Chambre souhaitait tellement, ou priait presque, qu'il échoue. Après avoir bravé 2 crises économiques successivement, qui ont même mis à terre de grandes puissances mondiales, et après nous avoir refashionné au New Normal, aujourd'hui, le ministre des Finances vient à l'avant avec audace, courage et détermination pour redonner confiance à la nation mauricienne. Cela démontre la vision claire et nette du Premier ministre, sa volonté de redonner au peuple ce qu'il mérite et sa philosophie d'un caring et compassionate government. Savoir oser, savoir gérer et savoir construire. Et oui, Monsieur le Président, je dis bien construire et non pas détruire, comme ça veut faire si bien l'opposition, car dois-je rappeler à la Chambre comment l'ancien régime avait géré la crise financière de 2008-2009, ou encore le sham stimulus package, ou comment entre 2005 à 2009 ils avaient arraché le pain de la bouche des écoliers. Ils avaient décidé de supprimer les subventions sur le riz, la farine et même les frais d'examen du SI et du HSI. Je dois aussi peut-être rappeler à la Chambre comment nos jeunes ont été dupés avec certaines universités marrons. Je comprends, Monsieur le Président, pourquoi de l'autre côté de la Chambre, ils souffrent tous d'un malaise profond et presque palpable, parce que ce budget est finalement une claque magistrale pour eux. They fail to understand how our Prime Minister has been able to maintain the minimum wage, increase pension, abolish tax for so many people, while we had even introduced the National Residential Property Tax, even when everything was fine. Et l'honorable leader de l'opposition parle de mea culpa, c'est peut-être le cas pour eux. Après la présentation du budget, l'ambiance dans le pays a changé. Mais de l'autre côté de la Chambre, et même dans certains segments de la presse, l'ambiance n'a guère changé, pour ne pas changer. I have been gathering feedback of the people, and I can confirm that there is a huge feel-good factor across the country. And over this weekend, I met with my constituents, and allow me to quote some of the words of happiness they exclaimed. I quote, Pénaplitop Kissa, avec Pravin nous Santraka. On the lighter side, Mr. Speaker, sir, a few hours after Honorable Padayachi presented his budget, I received a call from one of our constituents in number 11, asking if a rapprochement between the MSM and the MMM was underway. I was flabbergasted by how he had come to such a conclusion, and I was informed that while watching the commentary à chaud of Honorable Paul Béranger on the budget via Facebook, we later acknowledged that the budget was a good one, but not good enough, as the government could have done much better. And but maybe the best will be for next year. Well, this speaks for itself. Mr. Speaker, sir, l'honorable Boutim disait hier que le peuple souffre. Eh bien oui, je suis d'accord avec lui. Le peuple souffre quand leurs enfants sont en difficulté. Mais je me demande ce que lui et ses colistiers de l'autre côté de la Chambre ont fait pour allévier cette souffrance. The social measures detailed in this budget reveal the underlying heart of a Prime Minister, to care for his people, especially the most vulnerable ones. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will dwell on only 3 of these measures here. We all know how staggeringly painful it can be for parents to see their kids suffering, and especially in the face of what can be fatal diseases, and even where overseas treatment may be required, and the turmoil of that family having to strive to find the means to be able to afford such treatment. There have even been some sad cases where some families, while trying to make the necessary savings, lost their kins. Mr. Speaker, sir, no words of comfort can make justice to the loss suffered by these families. Today, to give families hope, faith, and reassurance, the Prime Minister is coming up with such bold measures that will allow no sick child to be defeated by sickness, no parent to be defeated by circumstances. And allow me to quote the words of Mr. Reyes Chetou as published in the newspaper over the weekend. In un mesure capable de faire l'homme couler, unquote. Mr. Speaker, sir, I refer here to the measures in the paragraphs 410 to 421, où le gouvernement va prendre en charge les frais médicaux des enfants à l'étranger et ceux des enfants souffrant de cancer. Et le leader de l'opposition a le culot de dire que the government is caring for the rich while daring to take from the poor. This caring and compassionate government knows how painful it can be for parents to see their child suffering. And even if these parents go to work, they will be stressed and worried about the sick child. Hence, another bold measure proposed by this budget is the possibility for a parent to take up to 10 days of sick leaves to take care of a sick child. Mr. Speaker, sir, an employee who has experienced a pregnancy loss will also now be entitled to a stand-alone leave of 5 days. Again, it is because this caring and compassionate government understands the mental and emotional pain that a parent has to go through. Mr. Speaker, sir, some weeks back in an event at the Human Services Trust, I was deeply touched when the Honorable Prime Minister asked the youths to take care of the parents and not just leave them in homes when we later get old or sick. And to circumvent the usual adage of I don't have time or I don't get leave from work today, this budget comes with such a measure that the working class can use the bank of sick leaves to take care of the parents. And the caring heart of a Prime Minister is again reflected in this new measure, which I read, an individual who has been amputated or lost his or her arm, leg, or hand shall benefit from the basic invalidity pension of 11,000 rupees. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is what I call empathy. This is what I call caring. This is what I call daring to care. Pour apporter ces mesures touchant ceux qui souffrent, Monsieur le Président, pas classe qui bizin, mais les care. Pour changer le statu quo et apporter des bold reforms, pas classe qui bizin, mais audace, courage, détermination et dû à labeur, qui découlent du DNA même de l'honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnnath. Et là, Monsieur le Président, je vais dire à l'honorable Anquetil qui a lancé hier que le Premier ministre, l'honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnnath, n'est pas à la hauteur de l'ancien Premier ministre Navin Chandra Ghulam. Eh bien oui, l'honorable Pravin Jagnnath n'est pas à la hauteur de Navin Ghulam en ce qui concerne les Macarena Party, les coffres-forts, ou encore lancer des injures envers la classe féminine dans le micro. Et quand le leader de l'opposition parle d'incompétence dramatique, je lui dis de se référer au discours de l'honorable Anquetil, qui a été tellement théâtral hier, mais qui a quand même raté le but, de son débat quand son allocution était complètement irrelevant. Having said this, Mr. Speaker, sir, it will be sheer bad faith not to reckon.
Yesterday, during my speech, I was talking about social housing, and you stopped me.
No.
And today, this is totally irrelevant in connection with the budget speech. How do you allow this?
Order. Let me reply to the Honourable.
This is the point de mesure.
You withdraw this comment?
Speaker, let me explain.
No explanation. You withdraw or you withdraw
No.
from the chamber.
How
you
is
withdraw
it?
from the chamber. If you refuse to withdraw, you withdraw from the chamber.
How is it that
I will not listen to you. I have already ruled. You withdraw from the chamber. I will name you if you continue. You've been warned. You continue.
It will be sheer bad faith not to reckon with the fact that this budget, which is in direct continuity to the previous ones, is geared towards giving a strong fillip for further economic growth, despite the downturn caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, through a multi-pronged objective with a view to, amongst others, contain the multi-hydro monster, which is inflation, increase the purchasing power of consumers, protect population against external economic downturn, improve the quality of life of every single citizen, pursue a totally inclusive socio-economic development, and to ensure a stronger and more resilient economy that would allow us to steer through the doldrums caused by the pandemic and now the never-ending Russia-Ukraine war. From the plethora of social measures and mesures de relance, our nation was infused with hope, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the results speak for themselves. Where even the IMF and Statistique Maurice show that the GDP growth forecasts for 2022 have been exceeded. Alors que le leader de l'opposition se dit être clairement déçu par ce budget, les autres, parmi des économistes, des représentants du secteur privé, des syndicalistes, trouvent que le budget est, je cite, un budget socialiste. Anthony Leung de PricewaterhouseCoopers. Nous accueillons favorablement ce budget. En somme, c'est un très bon budget, MCCI. Le budget a un fort axe social, Business Mauritius. Le budget est favorable pour les travailleurs et les plus démunis de la société mauricienne, Mauritius Trade Union Congress. On prend note des mesures pour le secteur Global Business, Mauritius Banking Association, et j'en passe. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of Opposition even stated yesterday that this budget is akin to those of district councils. I consider this to be the ultimate insult that a parliamentarian can hurl at the multitude of citizens living in villages that fall under the jurisdiction of several district councils. As if the district councils, the villages they administer, and the budgets are so demeaning that they deserve the scornful remarks of the Honourable Leader of Opposition. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the Parliamentary Private Secretary for constituencies number 11 and 12, I spend long hours, almost daily, meeting, listening, addressing to the problems of villages, irrespective of the political affiliations. We are in constant touch with and attentive to the problem of villages, who constitute the bulk of the population. And it is this proximity that allows us, as a caring and compassionate government, to address and cater for the needs, aspirations, and expectations. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I invite those who have chosen to confine themselves in the comfort of the ivory towers to come down to the ground reality of our citizens living in villages. They would then realize why it is extremely important that resources be allocated to district councils, that resources for construction of drains and other basic infrastructures be included in the national budget. I refer here, for instance, to the 235 million for acquisition of modern tipper lorries for various councils. As PPS, I have myself chaired so many CSU task force meetings where we have so many requests, Mr. Speaker, sir. And these tools are sine qua non. Mr. Speaker, sir, I refer to 115 million for cleaning, embellishment of public and oversights, as well as the 90 million allocated for cleaning, desilting, rehabilitation, and upgrading of drains, bridges, and rivers by local authorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, we as a government, we are not in the business of introducing eye-catching and hollow measures simply to please the gallery. For instance, if these first-hand measures had not been carried out, like desilting, dredging along rivers in my own constituency, like Bambou-Verrieux, Ville-Grand-Port, Rivière-des-Créoles, we could only dread what would be the state of these villages today. As a proactive and responsive government, we have ensured that old age pension be increased by 1,000 rupees so that the basic retirement pension be eventually pegged at 11,000 rupees. Every household with a senior couple will now earn a guaranteed minimum of 22,000 monthly, while the minimum revenue guaranteed is at 15,000 rupees. Likewise, the pension of widows, orphans, disabled persons is all being increased by 1,000 rupees. And I fail to understand how those who refused to increase pension in 2014 are today saying it's not even enough. Mr. Speaker, sir, this government is literally addressing the bread and butter issues of our citizens by earmarking a 9% subsidy on our pain maison quotidien, with a bid not to make consumers bear the burden of increasing the cost of protection. And to my mind today, one of the most groundbreaking measures of this budget lies in the grant of 20,000 rupees, et non pas 20 roupies, comme l'avait dit l'honorable Ramphel, to every citizen who reaches the symbolic age of 18. This is a bespoke homage that this government is paying to our budding adult community. It is a way to tell our young people out there that we, as a government, we have total trust and absolute faith in the potential as future nation builders and leaders of tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, sir, the commitment of the Prime Minister and of this government in empowerment of our youths and especially our women is clearly reflected in paragraphs 54 to 66 of the budget speech. And as Honorable Gobin had mentioned, while only 43% of women form part of active labor force, these set of innovative measures come to ensure greater representation of women in the world of work. Mr. Speaker, sir, speaking about inclusion, this budget also ensures, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals adopted, that the Prime à l'Emploi scheme be extended to persons with disabilities, and that companies be provided with an increased tax deduction of 300%. I have been repeatedly saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, both in this August chamber and elsewhere, that this government, under the visionary leadership of the Prime Minister, is above everything else a caring and compassionate government that places the citizen at the center of every development. Mr. Speaker, sir, since independence, Mauritius had known its first ever economic miracle spanning between 1985 and 1995. This was under an MSM government led by the much regretted Sonny Ruchagnot. That decade was known as the golden phase of the Mauritian economy. And as we speak today, as a result of the groundbreaking measures being introduced through this budget, by this present government and led by the Prime Minister Pravin Kumar Jagnnath, chroniclers and historians down the line will undoubtedly dub this present period of our socio-economic life not as golden, but as platinum years. This is because this budget now, apart from just being caring, we are daring to tread along an unbeaten and revolutionary socialist path that would bring lasting comfort to the quality of life of our countrymen and a smile and relief on their face. I move to a few budgetary measures for my constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a fact that my constituency has been acutely affected by inadequate water supply. I have myself been actively pursuing several discussions with the CWA to bring about remedial solutions to ease the situation. And today I can assure our people that several such measures have been devised, from the implementation of service réservoirs at Cluny, at Richenneau, to the changing of old tuyaux défaillants and the construction of new service réservoirs at Nouvelle-France and Ferney. All these measures are welcomed with great relief by my constituents. The service réservoir at Ferney and the laying of new pipes along the coastal region is being done, and the installation of a bulky water tanker at Anse-Jonché is also going to provide the inhabitants of the whole southeast coast much relief. Speaking of Anse-Jonché, Mr. Speaker, sir, at the moment I am speaking to you, there are major ongoing works there. Every time there has been heavy rainfall, the Anse-Jonché bridge has been flooded and the whole coastal road had become inaccessible to commute. 2 new bridges are today being constructed, and the coastal roads will be elevated at critical regions to prevent seawater surges onto land, thereby causing ineffective water accumulation coming down from the mountains. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the budget speech of last year, I had elaborated lengthily on the dire need for the construction of new drains and had given details on the major flood-prone areas such as Nouvelle-France, Balisson, Saint-Hubert, Saint-Hilaire, Bambou-Verrieux, Rivière-des-Créoles, Anse-Jonché, Providence, Grand-Sabre, Rosebel, Gros-Billot, Gébert. And today I will not dwell into the technical details, but I will just quickly mention that for the projects mentioned in this budget speech, for the Southeast region, consultancy services has been completed and the proposed designs for a holistic solution for flooding for the whole region are ready, and the Road Development Authority is already earmarking and working on some projects consisting of upgrading of culverts and bridges along the Flac-Maber Road from Bois des Amourettes to Grand Sable and at Vieux-Grand-Port. As these existing culverts and bridges along the main access road are reconstructed to accommodate peak flows, the inhabitants residing in these areas will be protected. Mr. Speaker, sir, every single week I hold monitoring committees with all key institutions such as the Road Development Authority, the National Development Unit, the District Council, the Ministry of Environment, the Land Drainage Authority, to ensure that the works get implemented as soon as possible. The collaboration of all institutions and stakeholders is crucial, including that of the population, because landowners are to be identified and negotiation for right of entry to proceed with proposed works is very important. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I said, I will not have time to go through each project, but I just wish to place on record that over the last 3 years, despite the difficult prevailing economic circumstances, in constituency 11, not less than 295 projects have been undertaken as of now. Coming to amenities, Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget mentions the new municipal pitches at Rosebel, Nouvelle-France, Banane, and we also have upgrading works at the Rosebel football ground, as well as ongoing works at the Bois des Amourettes football ground, Banane, and Cluny. The budget also provides for landslide rehabilitation works at Rivière-des-Créoles and remedial works at Grand Sable, while also making provision for the construction and upgrading of Petit Sable Hall and the construction of a new multipurpose hall at Rivière-des-Créoles. Hier, l'honorable Tim disait avec dédain que les membres du gouvernement jubilate at hearing names of regions in their constituency. And I tell him, why not? Because I believe that when we have been elected, we hereby represent each region of our constituency. And we work hard so that every single region of our constituency can shine. Mr. Speaker, sir, last year in my constituency, along 3.3 kilometers of coastline have been rehabilitated from Pointe-au-Feuille to Grand Sable, Providence to Grand Port, and Petit Sable to Bambou-Verrieux. Today, there are works going on at Bois des Amourettes and from Bambou-Verrieux to Anse-Jonché. Provision is also being made for rehabilitation works at De Frères. And as I said, because of a lack of time to dive into the other measures, for instance, in healthcare, I'm sure my distinguished colleagues will be covering. I would just like to quickly mention that the budget caters for ongoing works for the new renal transplant unit at the Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital and the construction of Area Health Hospital at New Grove. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the other side of the House, they had even dared to say there is a lack of innovative measures. Let me just mention a few more of what I deem to be innovative. For instance, the bold taxation measures. And here I just quote some words from the budget analysis of PricewaterhouseCoopers. I quote, "We will now move to a progressive tax system to make it more equitable and fair for taxpayers. This represents a major reform for our long-standing flat rate system." Mr. Speaker, sir, as a government, we are daring to redistribute the national wealth in such a manner that no citizen of this country, more especially the underprivileged ones living in the remotest villages and those within the so-called poverty pockets, will ever go to bed empty stomach, because they will have a guaranteed descent and minimum salary and minimum revenue guaranteed. Et je dis là, Monsieur le Président, au MMM qui se vante d'être défenseur des droits des travailleurs, car au sein de l'Ancien Régime, certains employés gagnaient seulement 1500 roupies, ça qui est bon. Et sous ce régime, quand l'honorable Padayachi vient nous rassurer d'un revenu minimum garanti de 15 000 roupies, ils ne sont pas contents, Monsieur le Président. Quand le MMM, l'honorable Paul Béranger, régnait entre 2000 et 2003, seulement 145 roupies étaient allouées aux pêcheurs comme Badoueva Allowance. Aujourd'hui, cette somme est de 650 roupies. Mr. Speaker, sir, other innovative measures also include the reform of our migration policy to simplify the recruitment process for businesses and the positioning of Mauritius as a carbon-neutral destination. Et le leader de l'opposition vient dire qu'il y a un manque de sérieux. Let's be serious. Pour conclure, Monsieur le Président, au cœur de ce budget se trouvent mis en œuvre des grands principes du socialisme. Ce gouvernement reconnaît que la force de notre nation se mesure non pas à la richesse de quelques-uns, mais au bien-être de tous les composants de la nation. Notre gouvernement fait preuve d'un engagement inébranlable envers la justice sociale, en donnant la priorité aux politiques qui répondent aux besoins des personnes les plus vulnérables de notre société. Comme je l'ai souligné plus tôt, ce budget place les citoyens au premier plan en veillant à ce que l'accès à des services essentiels tels que les soins de santé, l'éducation et le logement ne soit pas un privilège, mais un droit pour chaque citoyen. En prévoyant des financements de l'éducation, du pré-primaire aux universités, permettant à notre jeunesse d'acquérir les connaissances et les compétences dont elle a besoin pour réussir. Aussi, l'engagement indéfectible envers la création d'une société plus juste et équitable transparaît dans tous les aspects de ce budget. Alors que nous rassemblons pour avancer, travaillons tous ensemble pour faire de notre nation un exemple de compassion, d'équité et de progrès dans cette partie du monde. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I have, from the very outset, listened with a lot of interest to the previous orator, who has not, just like her colleagues on the other side of the House, thought that it would be proper to point the finger at the members of the opposition and to teach us our jobs. And then there is something that I keep on learning at all ages, sir, It is the ability of people to multitask. Such as herself, she has shown us that she has the ability to Photoshop photographs and use Photoshop photographs. It takes technique.
Yes.
I wonder if this is relevant to the budget speech and what he's speaking on, also because this is speaking on personal and of a honourable member, and also without even verifying whether such things are true or false, he's making statements in this August House. So,
honourable member, you were not here. The whole thing started not with you, not with somebody else, but with a lady, and who mentioned a few sentences, and this is what she's rebutting. I'm helping you to understand the whole context. She's been rebutting something which has been said. So continue with your main speech.
Main speech is that nowadays, Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to be at the service of the population, not only do we have to have a Minister of Finance who can write fine speeches for the budget debate, but we also have to have people who are experts at Photoshop. That shows that this is in the interest of the people to place yourself where you're not in order to have the ability to do well, at least to have the perception that you exist. In any event, to come to the speech which I've already embarked upon, I heard the Honourable Minister of Le Jongar yesterday saying that he believes it is a socialist budget. He is obviously entitled to his views. However, am I not also entitled to my views? I've heard each and every member on the other side applaud the Minister of Finance. The least I expect them to do so is to do exactly that. Because I do not see any single one of them having the courage to say that he's wrong. That's the point. I don't see a single one of them who can depart from what is the set, agreed stance to be taken by government and to think about nothing else but posterity and how he would go down in history as someone who has managed to stand for what he believes, or has he had to simply be a sheep following le berger, or simply someone who is blowing into a flute.
I will stop you.
Why?
You have this very bad habit of comparing honourable members in this house to animals. Remove that. Remove that. Withdraw that question of sheep or whatever.
L'agneau et le berger is...
Remove.
I remove it. I remove it. Fair enough, I remove it. I'm not debating, I'm removing it, sir. I remove it even more for you.
You are gentlemen. Thank you very much. You know what you
But I've said it, and you know what I've said.
Yeah.
And I meant nothing wrong. But in your mind, you think there's something wrong. But
no,
I remove
it is wrong and wrong.
Yes, obviously, your mind. I haven't got the ability to understand your mind, and I don't want to. But
No,
I'm removing
you have
it.
to understand. This
I cannot understand.
This is, but you've removed it.
I removed it because I respect the chair.
That's it. Continue with your speech now. No more comments.
The chair, not the mind. Now, as I'm saying, sir, the total revenue that the Minister of Finance has reminded us of is 179 billion, whereas you have an expenditure of 200 billion. You see, it is not my habit to be an expert or try to say that I'm an expert at matters concerning the economy. But it has happened that I have had to go and pull out an old book of mine, and the title being Duet on Modern Economics. And I do recall when I looked at that book, I was so fond of it in those days when I was in secondary school, studying that book and what inflation is, so that I had to decipher what the Honourable Minister was not saying and what he was hiding, what he did not want other people to say. Can you imagine? It is not a coincidence that not a single time has this budget mentioned the word inflation. It has been said by other members, and I say it again. It has never used the word inflation. But that book on Duet on Modern Economics is on special paper printed in India. And those were the books we obtained at the time when I was at secondary school studying economics. I haven't got the ability of the Honorable Minister of Finance, and I haven't got the art that he has to be able to hide the obvious. But there is one thing that he has made me understand, is that when he says it is a socialist budget, I was obliged to go into my old economic books and look at what exactly was the truth. There is more reason for me to believe Dewitt on modern economics than to believe the Honourable Minister, because Dewitt has no interest of his own to serve as far as this budget is concerned. So Dewitt says that whatever he says is not true, because he refuses and refrains with intent not to use the word inflation. He knowingly refuses to use the word productivity. Nowhere in the budget. I have never understood how such words are avoided in a budget speech. Then I wanted to know how socialist really is this budget. The individual income tax falls from 16.3 billion 2022-2023 to 15.5 billion. And those figures underlie the falsehood in that budget. From 16.3 billion, individual income tax falls from 16.3 billion to 15.5 billion. But the VAT that is received from 49.4 billion to 2022-2023 to 61.5 billion estimated 2023-2024. So when one looks at the gross public sector debt, which is currently estimated at 485 billion, which will increase to June 2024 to 516 billion, and 548.934 billion in June 2025, the percentage of foreign denominated debt increasing from 23.7 to 25.5% to 26.1%, and you take that into account as well, is that the tax profile of this country is as follows. 30%. I didn't interrupt him. I never interrupted him.
J'ai le droit. Yes. Il a dit. Oui. Yeah. Il a dit que pas une seule fois. Que pas une seule fois. Non, je peux répondre.
1 minute. Can you withdraw from the chamber? Why? I don't have to give you any reason. I ask you to withdraw. For what? I ask you to withdraw. I ask you to withdraw. If you don't withdraw, I will name you. There should be discipline in the chamber.
What's the point of order, sir? What's the point of order?
I will come to it first.
No, he has to come to it.
Yes, I will come to. I would give my ruling.
But he hasn't said what it is.
Monsieur le Président. L'honorable vient de dire que je n'ai pas parlé de l'inflation du tout dans le budget, que je n'ai pas parlé de la hausse des prix. Je l'ai parlé en français. L'inflation, c'est la hausse des prix. Vous regardez le point 515, j'en parle. Je n'ai pas besoin de dire le mot inflation. La définition de l'inflation, c'est la hausse des prix. Si vous ne comprenez pas ce que c'est la hausse des prix, l'inflation, c'est la hausse des prix.
Okay. On both sides of the house. Order. 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 Honorable Utim. Honorable Padeati. Order. 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 Both sides of the House order. Now you continue with the speech.
Could you please withdraw the word martyr? He called me martyr. Could you withdraw it, sir?
Withdraw that word.
Yeah, I will remove. Good. Now, I see that whoever and whatever I was aiming at is having its effect. Therefore, to come to it, I say it again. At no time did the minister use the word inflation in the budget. Now, I read the budget and he pronounced his budget speech for Hansard in English. And in English, which is maybe he didn't understand what he was saying, he did not use the word inflation. Now, if he said something equivalent in French, so be it. And I'll go home tonight and read it while drinking my cup of coffee. But in the meantime, I stick to what his speech was. Now, to come back to it, and maybe for the next time, if he does have a next budget, which I don't think so, he would think about using the word instead of something that may resemble it. What a weak defense. Now, what I do say, however, is the tax profile, since I was interrupted. The tax profile is basically 30% taxes on income and profits and 67% taxes on goods and services. Today, how is the deficit being financed? How is government expenditure being financed? Most of the money comes from VAT. Fact. And since I hear the Honorable Minister of Finance saying that this is a progressive budget, I would like him, therefore, to rewrite the rules of economics and tell us how, since the majority of the budget is being financed through VAT, how is this progressive? And how would he reconcile this with the fact that he has gifted friends of government, the rich of this country, with a gift of reducing their tax imposition? Why does this not be underlined by the minister? He doesn't want us to realize that. He has given a gift to the richest of this country by reducing the tax imposition. I like to listen to the Honorable Minister without interrupting him. He is entitled to his views, so am I. I do not have the monopoly of knowledge, and he also doesn't. Just like he can believe he knows a few things, I do not know as much as he does. At least I'm humble enough to say so. So I refer, therefore, to documents that I've looked at. He has decided to reduce taxes for the rich. That's a fact. I read a document from the London School of Economics, dated the 16th of December 2020. And it says here, I quote, "Our research shows that the economic case for keeping taxes on the rich low is weak." So what is the economic case of this Honorable Minister of Finance, of this government, to bring down taxes for the rich? If he is to tell us that the reason why he brings down taxes for the rich is because this is going to kickstart the economy, I say he is wrong. Why? Another document from the London School of Economics, dated the 24th of January 2023, which is a research document, says, I quote, "Tax cuts for the wealthy only benefit the rich." Who are those rich people that this government has been in a hidden manner trying to protect and help? Les riches que ce gouvernement a essayé d'aider clairement en baissant le taux d'imposition pour les riches. Pourquoi? Est-ce qu'il y a une raison économique derrière cela? Tout en se vantant d'avoir baissé le taux d'imposition en créant 11 paliers. It is 11 different ways of hiding the truth. The truth is that you remove taxes from the rich. They were so good to criticize the former government when we had put it to 15%. They had said we were wrong.
But at least we had the courage to say we are doing it openly for everyone, flat. Whereas they criticize us, and today, in a surreptitious manner, in a hidden manner, far from being transparent, they in a hidden manner, bring down the tax pour les riches. And in another document, and he shall be more comfortable with this particular document, and it is the abolition of France's wealth tax still has no proven effect on the economy. And it is written by Audrey Tonnelier, and it is published on 24th of October 2022. That is the three documents that I table. He knows more than I do in economics. That is why, as the little person who knows nothing much, I refer to the authors here who say that la stratégie économique du ministre des Finances est une stratégie qui cache la vérité. La vérité est qu'il a choisi, en connaissance de cause, de baisser la taxe pour les plus riches de ce pays. Ça, c'est une vérité. Vérité. And the authors say those who benefit the most from it are the rich themselves, not the poor. So, what is the point of trying to supposedly show your generosity to the poor, while at the same time being sweet in your eyes to your beloved rich? What is the point? Come out honest with it. Say for a fact that you wanted to protect the rich. I do not know why. I do not know what to know why, but at least be honest about it. You have protected the rich by bringing taxes down for them. Fact. Now, you call this a budget, welfare budget? You call this a welfare budget? Look at the VAT. Who pays VAT, Mr. Speaker, sir? Every person in this country, rich or poor, we pay VAT. Every person. Someone who is a fisherman, someone who is a grass cutter, someone who is a sugarcane planter, someone who is a sugarcane cutter. Every person, a carpenter, a welder, a minister of finance, a lawyer, we all pay. A speaker, we all pay VAT. The same VAT. But not all of us have the same income. Not all of us have the same income. Therefore, the taux de TVA that is imposed on someone who is a carpenter, un petit artisan, a little lady who is working in the fields, what VAT she is paying with a salary of the minimum guarantee de 15,000, obviously is not the same weight-wise as the VAT paid by one of the listed companies and their CEO getting 3 to 5 million rupees a month. That's not the same. So don't tell me when the most of your budget is being financed by VAT, over 60%, that you are a progressive system. On the contrary, most of the deficit of this budget, of this government, most of the debts of this government is being paid by a regressive system of taxation that is called the VAT, and that is being honest. Now, what annoys me even more in this budget, I'll say what it is, Mr. Speaker, sir, is when you listen to this government and when I hear the speech of the Honorable Prime Minister immediately after the budget. What does he say? I quote what he says in a press conference within the precincts of the National Assembly on the day of the budget speech being read. The Honorable Prime Minister said the following, I quote, "Le salaire minimum, me faire rappel, t'y augmenté à 12,075. Et ben bénéficiaire qui peut gagner un CSG allowance of 1,000 roupies. 13,075. Dans sa budget-là, nous pouvons faire un effort supplémentaire pour capable augmenter le pouvoir d'achat. Nous pouvons donner un soutien financier de 2,000 roupies par mois sous CSG Income Allowance à tout bon travailleur qui touche jusqu'à 25,000 roupies. And the Prime Minister goes on to say, donc, le salaire minimum aujourd'hui peut augmenter, peut venir 15,000 roupies. This is what the Prime Minister says. The Honorable Prime Minister sitting next to the good Minister of Finance of the Republic barely a few centimeters away, after the budget had been presented, saying that he is also, after all, let us not forget, the Honourable Minister of Finance said, thanks to Pravin Kumar Jagnnath that we managed to bring that budget. Without him, we couldn't. The Prime Minister says that the salaire minimum Zodi peut augmenter peut 15,000 roupies. So the question is as follows. How do you test someone's credibility? Was the Prime Minister speaking the truth outside this house when he said that the minimum salary is now 15,000 rupees, the salaire minimum? Answer that the Honourable Minister of Finance gave at his breakfast meeting the next day was no. The Prime Minister is not correct because the minimum wage is not increasing. Which is which? Either the Prime Minister could not understand what the Honourable Minister of Finance was saying, or the Minister of Finance could not understand what the Prime Minister wanted. Somewhere there is a problem in communication between the two. You cannot have what you call a revenu minimum guarantee, and the Prime Minister calls it salaire minimum. Somewhere, someplace, someone is wrong. They cannot both be right. But then, le dindon de la farce, c'est qui? Is the people. Because when they left this, listening to the Honourable Minister of Finance, and when they heard the Prime Minister for a few hours at night, the people of this country thought they would indeed benefit from an increase in national minimum wage, and it would reach 15,000 rupees monthly. This is what they exactly understood after listening to the Prime Minister. The next morning, the dream they had was blown to pieces by the Honourable Minister of Finance. But then I already knew that night itself that the Prime Minister was wrong. Honourable Kushal Lobin will remember. I already knew there was a reason why national minimum wage was not used as an expression in the budget. It is not. And that is why I have written to you, Mr. Speaker, sir, giving advance notice, and also informed the Minister of Labour that I would, at the appropriate moment in the finance bill that is going to be coming, move for an amendment to the law. What would be that amendment? It is unfair to get someone to get 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees monthly, part of it being from CSG, but at the time of his retirement, it is not the figure that he gets at the end of the month that is accounted in the calculation of remuneration. It is the lower figure, before le revenu minimal garanti. Look at the Workers' Rights Act. The Workers' Rights Act clearly makes reference to severance allowance at Section 70. And at Section 87, at the interpretation section, the Workers' Rights Act qualifies what exactly is taken into account at the time of calculating severance, if ever he loses his job for unjustified dismissal, or there is redundancy, or in 1 month's time, in August, the gift that the Honourable Minister gives of 2,000 rupees, he has to retire. But he does not get under PRGF the figure which is the highest that he will get as a minimum revenu. He will get the lesser. Is this not unfair? Let us not forget that when I will move for that amendment, the only objective of mine is, dans l'éventualité qu'un travailleur perde son emploi après les 2000 roupies, que la compensation soit calculée sur le chiffre qu'il va obtenir qui inclut les 2000 roupies. Et si jamais il doit prendre sa retraite dans quelques temps, quelques semaines ou quelques mois après, que la gratuité en retirement, la pension de la retraite qui est dans le PRGF soit calculée en se basant sur la rémunération qui inclut cette allocation qui émane de la CSG. The worker will be better off. Whereas the Honourable Minister of Finance, if we go according to what he says and we follow the annexes, then it's not sufficient. Then the worker will be discriminated against. I'm not asking the Minister to do something different. He is already doing it at page 45 of the annex at B15, interim allowance to bus industry employees. You'll recall that the employees were getting 1,000 rupees, and the annex says the interim allowance of 1,000 rupees payable to bus industry employees will be integrated in their basic salaries as from the 1st of January 2023, backdated. So therefore, if it can be done for bus industry employees, it should clearly be done, in my view, for all workers of this country, because it is the same principle that I'm looking for. Another issue I'd like to address, Mr. Speaker, is the Finance Miscellaneous Provisions Bill of 2022. Last year, Mr. Speaker, you were in the chair, and I recall that there was one piece of legislation that was amended, and it was the Social Contribution and Social Benefits Act, and it was amended last year. And when I read this document, which is Hansard, I see therein that Dr. Padachi, Honorable Minister of Finance, in that particular Hansard, he makes reference and he says, I quote, Mr. Chairperson, I move for the following amendment in clause 67. Clause 67, in paragraph A, by inserting after paragraph 1 the following new subparagraphs, the existing subparagraphs 2 and 3 being renumbered as subparagraphs 3 and 4, and he adds there, he brings in that motion for amendment by deleting the definition of retirement benefit and replacing it by the following definition. And what he replaces it by, I read, retirement benefit means the social benefit of a monthly amount of 1,000 rupees payable for the period starting le 1er juillet 2022 au 30 juin 2023, exceeding 1,000 rupees and up to an amount specified in the second schedule, payable as from the 1st of July 2023. And I read what you, Mr. Speaker, said, amendment agreed to, clause 67 as amended, ordered to stand part of the bill. The second schedule, Mr. Padachi, Dr. Padachi here in Hansard, Honorable Minister of Finance, moves to add a new schedule, and in that schedule he adds retirement benefit 4,500 rupees. I went to the library earlier on and asked for an actualized, updated copy of the legislation today for the Social Contribution and Social Benefits Act of 2021. As it stands in the definition section, that is referred to as retirement benefit, and the second schedule, as at the 1st of July 2023, the government cannot offer less than 1,000 rupees in addition. The government seems to be oblivious of that. As at le 1er juillet 2023, ce gouvernement n'a pas le droit de donner moins que 1,000 roupies comme retirement benefit. Parce que, I read, exceeding 1,000 rupees. Not 1,000. Exceeding 1,000 rupees up to the amount specified in the second schedule, qui est de 4,500 roupies. La loi comme elle est aujourd'hui, il est tout à fait légitime, Monsieur le Président, et cela je m'adresse directement au ministre des Finances, à travers vous, il est tout à fait légitime pour que le citoyen s'attende à ce qu'il touche 4,500 roupies à partir, en plus, sur le retirement, sur la pension de retraite. Il a tout à fait le droit légitime de s'attendre qu'il va avoir 4,500 roupies à partir du 1er juillet 2023 parce que la loi le dit. Je ne le dis pas moi, je ne fais que lire ce qui est dans la loi, ce qui a été voté par cette Assemblée l'année dernière. Quelle est la valeur d'une loi si le gouvernement l'ignore? Quelle est la valeur d'une loi si le discours du ministre des Finances ne fait même pas référence à cette obligation, ne fait même pas provision pour cette obligation, ne donne même pas une explication à pourquoi alors cela n'est pas respecté. Comment se fait-il que le discours du budget ne fait même pas référence à une obligation légale du gouvernement qui est dans cette loi, qui est à force de loi, qui est de devoir donner 4 500 roupies par mois à chaque personne qui a atteint l'âge de la retraite. 4 500 en plus, c'est une obligation. Alors, Monsieur le Président, la décision de ce gouvernement de tourner leur dos à cette loi, puis de cracher au visage des pensionnaires, de ne pas leur donner ce qui est écrit dans cette loi et de venir simplement dans l'annexe à la page 21 proposer un amendement qui est exactement ce qu'il y avait dans cette loi, en d'autres mots 4 500 à partir maintenant 2024. Mais pourquoi alors avoir proposé ces amendements, l'honorable ministre des Finances, en 2022? Et pourquoi alors vous êtes mis debout pour proposer une motion d'amendement l'année dernière au Finance Bill pour dire 4 500 1er juillet 2023? Pourquoi? Pourquoi alors ne pas respecter la parole donnée? Est-ce que la parole donnée n'est plus parole sacrée? Ah, mais non. C'est un budget socialiste. Socialiste pour les riches. Socialiste pour les riches amis de ce régime, n'est-ce pas? Et je connais beaucoup de ces amis qui, eux, n'ont pas besoin de ces pensions. Eux, n'ont pas besoin d'augmentation. Alors, on vient nous dire simplement qu'on va donner 20 000 roupies à des jeunes, et 20 000 roupies à des jeunes. Pourquoi? 55 ans de l'anniversaire de l'indépendance. Pour une minute, je croyais que c'était à l'occasion pour l'honneur de mon anniversaire. Bientôt, j'aurai 55. Ah non, c'était pas ça. Au fait, c'était simplement pour nous embobiner, pour nous faire croire que 55 est plus important que 50. Comment se fait-il alors que ce gouvernement était au pouvoir quand on a eu 50 ans d'indépendance, et pourquoi alors ces jeunes n'ont rien eu? 50 ans n'était pas important. 55 est important parce que bizarrement, les élections, c'est bientôt. Et alors, ceux qui vont s'enregistrer bientôt, ces nouveaux électeurs, 15 000 à peu près, bah alors c'est une façon de se servir de l'argent qui n'est pas la nôtre, de leur donner, être généreux, sans aucune structure, et nous dire, mais au moins la majorité d'entre eux vont voter pour nous. Mais moi je dis à ces jeunes, prenez l'argent, vous le méritez fort bien, au moins pour vos compensés, pour écouter la démagogie de ce gouvernement et les mensonges économiques de ce gouvernement. Prenez cet argent, gardez cet argent, et le moment voulu, votez contre ce gouvernement. C'est ça qu'il faut faire. Budget socialiste. Budget socialiste. Après avoir écouté ce que j'ai à dire, peut-être il doit y avoir une conférence de presse demain à l'expliquer à ces aînés de notre population que tous ceux qui sont là vis-à-vis de moi aiment dire on est là, on les a aidés, on a fait. C'est comme s'ils ont pris leur argent personnel pour donner. Nom de Dieu. Et quand cette loi que vous avez tous votée de l'autre côté de la Chambre et nous, c'est à force de loi, pourquoi on ne donne pas 4 500? Allez donner une explication. Parce qu'on ne dit pas ça à la population. Ça, on le cache. Maintenant, vous voulez vous dire que vous êtes quoi? Vous êtes quoi? Socialiste. Socialist for the rich. Socialist for the rich. I have 10 minutes left. I have 10. So I have other nails to hammer in. I have 10 minutes. Yes. 5 minutes left. No. Good. Thank you.
Say it again. So this has been cleared. This has been cleared with the whip. It's not hearing that.
That's fine. I can see that I'm causing damage.
You cannot replace the speaker. Like any time you just say, okay, give him 5 minutes. Don't do that.
It's
clear with the chief whip.
But we don't need to clear. It's the time of the opposition that is used by the opposition.
If it is okay, there is no problem. But don't embarrass me and don't embarrass the whip.
No, Mr.
It's not in
Speaker.
chamber that cross arrangement in chamber like this.
Mr. Speaker.
You're not doing your work, both of you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I continue? It's government that is embarrassed, and that was never the intention of my honourable friend to embarrass you. If he has, I apologize on his behalf. If he has, we apologize on his behalf. But let me continue embarrassing government now. Now, you're talking about knowing exactly what you're doing. You know, just a small mistake. Look at that one. I look at page 82 of the annex, and I was so happy also. You know, I thought I'd join the bandwagon and say, oh, wait a minute, and let me tap la table also, and say, well, there is the name of a school in my constituency there. I heard it. And when I look here, and I go, but why is it classified under constituency number 2? Have they changed the borders? Oh, no. It's just because the officers of the Ministry of Education don't even know where the school is. And they put it in at constituency number 2 when it's in constituency number 3. And quite a distance away. Abdul Rahman Abdul Government School, a project that started back when I was minister. Tender documents had been made for renovation of the school. 2023, it's not even over. Allez expliquer ça à votre collègue vice-premier ministre, le docteur Asnou. Allez expliquer ça à Salim Abbas Mahmoud, qui choisit de ne pas être présent. Allez expliquer ça aux électeurs de la circonscription numéro 3. Comment se fait-il qu'en 2014, un projet de rénovation d'une école est lancé par le gouvernement précédent? On est en 2023, nom de Dieu. Et on vient parler de rénovation qui n'a même pas été complétée. Oh my God, that is efficiency. That's why you don't use the word. That is productivity. That's why you don't use the word in the budget, because you do not know what it means, sir. And then we look at what they do. The sports infrastructure in my constituency. Plaine Verte, Camp-Yolof, Rochebois. Under renovation years after years after years, still not finished. Plaine Verte even had a case of a victim of electrocution due to the existing electrical system, which is faulty, and had to undergo surgery and was sent to casualty at City Clinic. And obviously, pas aux frais du gouvernement, pas aux frais de Sa Majesté, comme on peut le dire, mais bien sûr, c'est les citoyens de l'endroit qui ont aidé, parce qu'il y avait négligence de la part du gouvernement, manque de maintenance, électrocution, et partout vous allez, on va le taper l'estomac, on va le taper la table pour dire, oh, chez nous, il y a ça, chez nous, il y a ça. Come and see, we're having a game of balls. Very good. Rochebois, very poor pitch state with a defective electrical system. And what if they expect people in Rochebois to play without a goalpost there? There's a goalpost missing. And this is, they were ready for municipal elections, by the way. They were ready for municipal elections. Military Road, no lighting. Synthetic pitch, bad state, bad condition, urgent need of renovation for years. Damaged public infrastructure, Cité Martial Plateau. Millions spent by this government for a beautiful pitch. A project I had started back in 2014. They left it on hold. Honorable Abbas Mahmoud came to me and said when he was in the opposition recently, until he turned his coat and showed him loyal, God knows to his definition of loyalty, what it means. He said to me, Shakil, nous tu peux simplement faire ce qui te fin commencer. But they can't even complete it. Instead of a football pitch, now it is being broken down again because it has to be looked at again because it has become a swimming pool. Because there's no drain. Closed. And in January 2023, closed. Because of drainage problem. Mama Delai Stadium, no water in toilet. That is a modern government ready for municipal elections. And then Jean Lebois football pitch, very bad condition. Training and matches problematic. Stade Kaya, worse than ever. Base basketball pitch at Camp-Yolof, même pas praticable. Pétanque pitch at Camp-Yolof and Rochebois, in a poor state. Pétanque pitch at Plaine Verte Garden, no proper water supply. The construction of a water fountain with no drainage system. Can you imagine? They put a water fountain with no drainage. And they want proliferation of mosquitoes. But that's a modern government. They care. They care. Centre 1er février, Rochebois. Leakage. The new Dr. Idriss Goumani millions, leakage. You talk about green, protecting environment, and at the same time, you destroy a children's garden on Rue Magon and you put up another building there. What? Because of the ego of certain people? But you're ready to care for people. The gardens, totally abandoned. And then, to come back to our good friend, the Honorable Minister of Finance, who has thought it fit to turn his back to the old people of this country by going against legislation that he himself voted, that every single member of this House voted. Yes, but this is the conclusion, and we're hearing the drums rolling now, and it's coming forward with a conclusion, and you'll enjoy that. Hold on. And the title of his budget is what? The measure of a society is found in how they treat their weakest and most helpless citizens, Jimmy Carter. But maybe he should rewrite it. The measure of the society run by Padachi is how we ignore the law and say, we don't care about you because you are the weakest. We will give it to you only when we know that the votes we are going to get in return. And then, only then, this is how we treat the weak, by buying votes. Thank you very much.
3 minutes left, eh?
I got credit?
3 minutes left.
Should I go?
Now we listen to the Honorable Nazir Ali, Deputy Speaker.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je tiens à vous remercier pour cette opportunité que vous me donnez pour m'exprimer. I know many probably are aware that I rebut the previous speaker. How can I do that? He's been here for 4 mandates, I think. He has a secure pension as well. Whilst it is my first, I'm only the first from my family. I only hope to argue in the interest of the country, rather than criticize. He has a flair for speech. I only have a flair to strive for a job well done, because I believe dans le travail bien fait. Monsieur le Président, la tâche s'annonce difficile pour moi, très dure. One day, each and every single word that I utter in this Parliament will be used to judge me. I have to consider the opinion of my colleague from the majority, the opinion of the opposition, and understand the state of mind, the feeling of my fellow countrymen. I would argue based on facts and figures rather than thin air. I will argue to bring my honest contribution to this debate. I will argue to help in building this country, in building this nation. This is what I intend to do. I hope that today my voice translates the feeling of my fellow countrymen, and this debate becomes the voice of the people of Mauritius, the people of Agalega, Rodrigue, Chagos, and all Outer Island. I hope you listen to it, enjoy it, digest it, and act upon it, should there be substance in it. First of all, I want to say the good thing about my country. I'm in love with most of what I see in my country. I must put it on record how much I love the people of my country. I must put it on record that my country has done more for me than I have done for my country. I'm a Mauritian. I'm born and raised here. My family, my mom and dad, who are probably watching, they live here. They are born and raised in this country. I live in a community. The community forms part of a bigger segment, of a bigger gem called Île Maurice. L'île Maurice nous appartient. L'île Maurice nous appartient à 1 266 000 habitants. Everything that I am today is because of Mauritius. Everything that we are today is because of Mauritius. In all honesty, we have reached a decent level of progress as to infrastructure and services in this country. We have to mettre les points sur les i. Ce qui ont été faits ont été faits. We have, as a nation, given our sweat and blood to progress from where we used to be, from coolies, slave, merchant, until today. The new generation nowadays is called for at least 9 years. We have degree holders in almost every houses. At least in our surrounding, we have degree holders. We have doctors, engineers, accountants, teachers, lawyers in every community nowadays. We have overcome so much as a nation. We have, as a nation, have fully established a welfare state. And I'm happy to say that this budget maintains a welfare state. There is more than just criticism that come out from this budget, unlike what the opposition is trying to portray. Medicine is still free, schooling are free, transport are free, their pensions, their benefits, their incentives, their grants given under this budget. Le pays a beaucoup développé de ce que j'ai vu de mon enfance jusqu'à maintenant, de ce que j'ai vu des photos anciennes. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to share part of the journey of my life. Some 30 years back, I used to take the bus from Mochida to go to college in MGI. I used to take the route from Alma to Wedmoka. It used to be there used to be heavy traffic jam. I am happy to say this government have done it first. A relief after 30 years that I have taken this road. This road today have new additions. Changes have been brought. In fact, a new road is about to be inaugurated. The suffering that I have endured as a child until today will be alleviated by this very government, Mr. Speaker. Throughout these 3 years, I have also seen so much that have been invested in the public infrastructure. Many come and say, many argue that money have been blown up in the air. But as I said, I'll argue with evidence based on facts and figures. Mr. Speaker, there have been massive investment in public infrastructure. Some even went on to say, pre-Puvin Manhattan. But over and above it, it's not about the Manhattan that I want to talk. I want to talk about my constituency. Permettez-moi d'étaler quelques travaux qu'on a effectués dans ma circonscription, faits en collaboration avec mes décoliciers, avec le PPS, le conseil de district de Flac et de Moka. As I said, I'm not just going to talk in the air. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, allow me to make reference to a list that I've compiled as to the projects that have been undertaken in my constituency by the district council. There's a total of 69 projects. 34 have been completed. There is 30 more in progress. There is 5 more upcoming projects. We're talking of 69 projects undertaken in some 42 months. Alors, ça fait un peu plus d'un projet par mois. I beg leave to table same. Now, allow me to talk about more projects as to drain works that have been carried out. There's a total of 39 projects. 7 have been completed, 32 are left. And this project, Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to table same as well. Right now we've reached, and there's more, 4 more amenities coming. There's 17 roads that have been completed by the NDU, and 4 road projects that are ongoing. That makes 63 projects plus 69. Over and above it, I have a list from the District Council of Flac where there are 14 projects as to roads that have been carried out. We're talking almost of 150 different projects undertaken by this government in my constituency over the past 3 years. And I'm tabling all the documents. You can see work have been done from Mochida to Trou-de-Duche, from Grande Rivière Sud-Est to Bramstan. Each and every locality of my constituency has seen an improvement. It is, in fact, the budget that is providing the fund for all these 150 or more projects. These projects have bettered the quality of life of the inhabitants of my constituency. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, il faut que je le dise, il y en a des problèmes d'inondation dans quelques endroits de ma circonscription, à Médine, à Peladji, à Bel-Air, à Clémenceau, à Bramston. We are not perfect. This is how it is. This world is not perfect. But I'm happy to see that the budget has allocated funds for drain work, for major drain work in those villages. I hope the job will be completed soon and the fund allocated shall be used wisely, swiftly, to, in fact, enhance the quality of life. I also have to say, earlier on, our colleague, Honorable Jutton, talked about problem de l'eau. I must state it because I'm here to state the facts, the truth. I recognize, along with my two colleagues, that there are problems in the constituency as water in Olivia, Bel-Air, Trou-de-Douce, Bramston. But I've spoken to CWA for over a long period of time. We're constantly monitoring the situation. They have told me for the short term, we have boreholes and new pipes that are going to be laid. Over the long run, there's a new reservoir that's upcoming. So all these funds have to be allocated under the budget so that we can materialize this project. Allow me also to bring to attention of the Ministry of Transport that sometimes it happens that the senior citizen suffers at the whim and caprices of bus owners who fail to stop. So I would request for closer monitoring. I don't want just to debate today. I want to add constructive proposal to how to make the life of every citizen better and better. I do not also forget the plight of inhabitants of Clémenceau, Olivia, and Route 13, who often suffers from inadequate or irregular bus service. But, Mr. Speaker, you will see, we have a huge panoply of work that are being done. Now I propose to move on to another topic. À l'île Maurice, on parle prédominamment le créole, l'anglais, le français, hindi, ou du télougou, marathi, mandarin, etc. On a hérité d'un pays travaillé par nos ancêtres, légué à nous par nos grands-parents. Ancêtres qui avaient osé, à cette époque, de croire au bonheur qu'ils vivront dans cette île paradisiaque. Une longue chemin a été parcouru pour qu'on y arrive ici, jusqu'ici. Voyons, nous avions commencé avec des maisons en paille, puis on a procédé avec des maisons en tôle, maintenant on a des maisons en béton. Je peux même faire étalage du fait que maintenant on crée des œuvres d'art en béton. On a beaucoup progressé. Tout le monde l'ont bâti, ce pays. Les Noirs, les Blancs, les Asiatiques, toutes les communautés l'ont bâti. Toutes les communautés ont mis la main à la pâte. We are making a step further. We should strive together as a nation to move even further. Allow me at this stage to commend the education bill that have been voted. The Creole language have been given a new lifeline by this government. Creole language is a common denominator for one and all, whether government or opposition. This government has dared to care for a common purpose, I would say. Mais la question, Monsieur le Président, il reste qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire, qu'est-ce qu'on veut faire du futur? La réponse est simple, qu'on améliore ce qu'on a en son temps, selon nos moyens financiers, d'après nos attributs comme un peuple. We have legitimate ambition. We want equal opportunity for one and all, respect for one and all, a platform to grow for every individual of this country. There is so much good in this budget. I can enumerate about the measures all day long. The question is how these measures contained in the budget can take us to the next level. To sum it up, I would say we need a transparent, efficient, and effective use of funds that have been allocated in this budget. My friend, my good friend, Honorable Mohamed, earlier argued about the revenue that we have under this budget. At page 481, Appendix A, from what I read, what I managed to understand, is we have a revenue of 179 200.160 billion rupees. We have an expenditure of 200.178 billion rupees. There's a shortage. There's a shortage. As a country, we need to work together to decrease the budget deficit. It's going to take opposition and government together, the whole nation together, so that we cross this hurdle. As a country, there are so many avenues that we need to open up. Whether we like it or not, we need to buckle up as a country. Peut-être, comme on nous dit en créole, c'est à ceinture. Développement et progrès durable ne conjuguent pas avec vive largesse. We cannot allow a single cent of our contribution to be wasted. I will talk about facts, figures, and the truth, the whole truth, without fear and favor. I will talk about mon vécu. Prior to this, allow me to take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister of Finance. Who would have believed that a budget would even be possible when all that seemed to be publicized, read, shared over the internet, over the media, are spicy and juicy news? But here you go. Here we go. The figures, the balance, the account, the explanatory note, all appear to be here under the budget estimate. So maybe a word is missing, maybe two words are missing, but the majority, if not to say everything, is present here. We need to look at the budget with an open mind so as we are able to address the issue that really faces our country today. It's not partisan politics that's going to determine our future. So, Mr. Minister of Finance, well done to you, well done to the government. I have obtained many good feedback when I tried to seek the opinion of people. The worst of feedback was, budget là okay, and I think nobody would deny budget là okay at least. But having an okay budget under these circumstances is a good achievement. It's always been majority applaud, minority criticize. Continue to dare, continue to care. Caring brings peace and love. Peace and love bring justice. Justice will give hope. Justice will give hope, and hope that one day we will achieve our dream when every Mauritian can live their dream, regardless of race, religion, creed, and only the most deserving are rewarded. Allow me now to argue over the facts and figures that I've been talking. I'm not far from setting on a personalized blame game. It's rather a self-reflection of my state of mind that appear to also reflect the youth of my generation, who are intrinsically linked with the younger and older generation. Majority of the country today can feed themselves. But I do not exclude the majority, the minority. I hope to see all the needy avail themselves to the various social benefits that have been awarded under the budget. The majority of the country appear to have a house, but I don't forget those living in rent, the youth entangled in years, decades of loan. I look forward to the construction of 8,000 houses being done promptly, and I also plead to you, the Honorable Minister of Finance, to look at the rate of interest for first-time home buyers. The majority of the country are safe, they feel safe, but I do not deny the plea of the few who feel justice is not seen to be done. I'm proposing to talk about a few items of the budget that are interlinked. Account for some 10% of the budget, employ at least 10% of the civil servant. It pertains to issues that have been talk of the town. Chacun devrait assumer sa part de responsabilité. L'humanisme, l'humanité devrait être au centre de nos préoccupations. L'apportionnement des responsabilités doivent être faits en humilité pour atteindre l'épithémie du bonheur pour le bien-être commun du patrie. Je ne critique pas, je propose. I propose to talk about the police, the Independent Police Commission, the Human Rights Commission, the DPP's office, the judiciary, the prison services, rehabilitation services. I'll table a copy of the page where they are contained and the amount that they consume of the budget. 11.8 billion by police, 15 million for IPCC, Human Rights Commission 35 million, DPP 190 million, Judiciary 746 million, Prison Service 995 million, Rehabilitation 105 million. These items eat up a large chunk of our money. At page 84 of the budget estimate, we are hoping to decrease the crime rate from 3.8 per thousand population to 3.26 for the present financial year. As a practicing lawyer, I have known many people within the sectors and department, made many acquaintances and friends. I have seen them at work, hardworking, their family members, their brothers, their sisters, their grandparents. They work honestly, staking their life, putting their hours, putting their sweat and blood to make this country safe and sound. I have seen professionals, I have seen experts who know their field. Those who are competent, those who are very competent in the job. It's only a few that transgress the rule and sometimes become a battalion that knowingly or recklessly misuses the power or shirk from their responsibilities. Pour calmer les ardeurs, Monsieur le Président, qui ont installé dans notre jolie patrie, j'aurais aimé voir les bodycams pendant les opérations policières. Un budget de 14 millions est alloué à la police, law and order, pour remettre en place le common purpose du pays. Le common purpose du pays doit être le vivre bien ensemble dans une atmosphère saine et sauve. Il faut que les délais qu'on traite les affaires soient réduits, que les enquêtes soient bouclées dans un délai raisonnable, que les poursuites soient faites within a reasonable time, que les jugements soient rendus dans le plus bref délai. Je salue la proposition d'embaucher 6 nouveaux juges et 14 nouveaux magistrats. Mais on a besoin d'embaucher plus de juges et de magistrats pour pouvoir soulager le système judiciaire et policier. On aura besoin de plus de staff qui collaborent avec la magistrature et plus de courtrooms pour qu'on puisse entendre les affaires effectivement, expeditiously. Officers should be attached to their department within their field of expertise, and they should with a bond of family, a family bond with the public who ultimately employs them. For one should never forget, we are accountable to the hands that feed us. Il faut que le bureau du DPP ait plus de staff pour procéder plus rapidement avec les décisions de poursuivre ou de ne pas poursuivre des affaires. On a besoin d'un système de travail plus efficace. Who know better how it feels when one has to wait since 25th of June 2020 for the determination in any case, how it feels. Who knows how it feels waiting for almost 3 years. We know it on this side, at least in my party, we know it quite well, how it feels to be waiting for 3 years for a determination. Il faut qu'on investisse plus d'argent dans la réhabilitation des prisonniers, des délinquants. Il m'a paru dans le budget estimate qu'il y en a 3700 qui sont des récidives, who have been going to prison more than 2 times. We need to find a way for them. We need to alleviate their suffering, take them out of the path they have engaged into. So it is important that all these institutions optimizes their budget so that we have a good budget, we have good facilities, we have good services, we have good countrymen. All this have to be put in a bubble where each and everyone feels safe. My attention has also been drawn by certain employees as to, I plead to you, Minister of Finance, if you can maybe enlighten or give more description, more detail as to how this works. If somebody started 10 years back with a salary of 7,500 is a mere cleaner. After 10 years, today his salary is 15,000 rupees with 10 years experience. What happened to him? Is he not in a worse situation with a newcomer who today his income would amount to at least 15,000 rupees? We need to look at it so that no one in our country feel that they have less consideration. I'm sure sooner or later we'll have to establish an error and an omission commission to consider readjustment of salary, so as those with experience do not get penalized. I care for the working class hero of my country. Allow me to tell you, achieving your potential is the quest of the ordinary, conquering the impossible is your destiny. This goes to all the working class hero of my country. Please feel empathy while you deliver. Empathy means sharing and caring. The more we care, the more we grow as human beings. Empathy is what I call Dil Ki Daulat, the wealth of heart. Have trust in your talent and technology. Hold love for the country and fear the wrath of God. Deliver to the best of your capabilities, regardless of your origin. The destiny of this country lies in your hand. On ne peut plus tolérer un État où le journaux puisse faire des scandales comme des front page tout le jour. La loi doit être appliquée dans un cadre idéal où ceux qui représentent les institutions se sentent connectés avec une idéologie. L'idéologie que j'appellerai le common purpose as a nation. Justice must be seen to be done. In Creole, si tu kilé aujourd'hui pour un bout, connais tu valeur pour un bout, jamais tu bougas tu pas et tu mérites. This message also goes out to honorable members of the opposition. I know you often say you work under difficult circumstances, but adapting to the state of affairs is your duty. You need to address and give a constructive version of yourself, of what you stand for. This parliament that run with public fund is for us to give our best despite adversity, regardless of how the opponent or the next one act. I hope to see everyone bringing spirit, life, energy, and vision to the debate. Rise up for a common purpose, and let's paint our country red, blue, yellow, and green. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to shine even brighter. Moi, j'y crois dans cette jeunesse mauricienne. Moi, je crois dans ce peuple mauricien, éduqué à l'école, instruit au web, instruit dans les temples, dans les mosquées, les pagodes et les églises. Je crois qu'un jour, on se lèvera tous d'une voix commune, sans discrimination, unis, soudés pour le bien commun du pays, que le mérite primera au-delà de toute considération. I'm almost done, Mr. Speaker, but I cannot help myself, even the previous orator talked about it, I cannot help myself but to talk about the 20,000 rupees, call it bumper price, call it whatever you want to call it, give it any name that you want. I know for a fact, with 20,000 rupees, an 18 years old can procure sufficient drug to blow himself up.
And his friends.
And his friend. With 20,000 rupees, an 18 years old can blow his brain up, can get a cardiac arrest with drug. But what has to be said is with 20,000 rupees, an 18 years old who would usually be doing SC or HSC could pay for 40 months of tuition and pave his way to good result at school or higher school certificate. What is not said, with 20,000 rupees, a young friend of mine, he spent 5,000 rupees per month to pay 2 months rent to open a hair salon. With 5,000 rupees he spent on table and chair, 5,000 for the tool for his trade. With 20,000 rupees, a young man could open up a little aluminium workshop. With 20,000 rupees, so much could be done. With 20,000 rupees, that is going to be allocated to, if I rightly grasp, to 88,000 Mauritian in this year, it would amount to 160 million rupees. 160 million used together. Youth of this country can change the destiny of this country. I have a dream. I struggle day in and day out for my dream. I want us, all Mauritians, to live our dream. It's not about what we have, but what we do with what we have. I'm going to conclude. With your permission, I want to conclude with all the colors of my country. Allow me to quote a Bhojpuri proverb. Zindagi do din ki yahan, kuch nahi leke jana, na hathi na ghora, paidal hi jana. Life here is only 2 days. We're not taking anything when we go away. We're not going by horse or on an elephant back. We're going barefoot. Thank you very much.
I'll suspend the sitting for 30 minutes.